welcome to America's Day at the Races here on FS2, as we are always proudly brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, check out americasbestracing.net today. Well, welcome to the program. I'm Maggie Wolfendale alongside Sarah L. Bodwee, and we, I think, both enjoyed a nice break. We hope you had a wonderful holiday, but so pleased to be joined by you here back on America's Day at the Races. Sarah, did you enjoy your holiday, away from the track?
Nice to have a little time off, to the point where you get excited to go start handicapping again and finding what's going on in all those races coming up. Of course, we had plenty of racing elsewhere to follow along with to quench your thirst in the meantime, but excited to be back here. Especially because now I feel like marks the time where everybody gets Derby fever. We see the road to the Kentucky Derby kind of get underway, and we'll have special coverage out at Oaklawn Park of their first Derby prep, the Smarty Jones, which is on New Year's Day. But now, for the here and now, brought to you by Clayburn Farm, today's races will start with the Pick 6. This will kick off the cross-country Pick 5 and also bring you races 5 through 10 over at Oaklawn Park, including that start of the late Pick 5 in race number 6. Well, luckily we have boots on the ground over at Oaklawn Park. Paul LaDuca, of course, but also joined by our very own Richard Migliori. And guys, it is setting up to be a big weekend out there in Hot Springs.
Oh, thanks, Max. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, it really is going to be a great weekend. Pleasure to be with you, Mig. We've worked together many times up at Saratoga, shared the same office as well, and I haven't seen you in a while. How you been, my friend?
Doing well, and we're in the Saratoga of the South, right?
Yeah.
Oaklawn Park, and it's great to be here. Haven't been here since 2008 when I won the Count Fleet on Board and Arrow. It was nice getting up in the jocks room, visiting with the guys, and it's just a really friendly, hospitable place.
Yeah, and listen, this is a giant weekend. We sort of, I guess, get the engines going for the Kentucky Derby with the Smarty Jones. We're going to get towards that a little bit, probably into tomorrow or the next day. They have not drawn the race yet. We have a very good card. We just had a $70 winner, if I'm not mistaken, and the Pick 5s are paying ginormous here already in the early part. And there you see what we got going. We got the Poinsettia on Saturday. Mig, Sunday will be the year's end. Renaissance, you and I will be popping shots at about midnight that time, but we'll be okay. Monday for the Smarty Jones.
I think I'll be asleep before midnight, but that's because I'm old. You're a young man still.
Yeah, but you see the young man, Maggie, here. You could tell that I'm the one that actually say I was born in Brooklyn but grew up in Arizona with the jacket, and Mig over here is just beasting over here. And I'm a little bit jealous, too, as well. He's already signed more autographs and taken more pictures than I have here.
Well, I am a little bit popular just because of my riding days, but Paul, we're in this together.
Oh, Paulie, don't worry. You have a lot of love out there at Oaklawn Park. I can attest to it when I stand on that platform and share it with those guys. But so glad to have Mig out there enjoying the scenes out there at Oaklawn Park. And Paul, a nice tutor to have by his side. Really good at handicapping those races out there, Paulie. But first up here on the show is race number 6. And Sarah, we did have that Pick 6 carryover into today. We did see an upset. 2 races back with Duke of Gloucester, providing a little bit of price in this sequence. But again, this does kick off the cross-country Pick 5 as well.
Yeah, and a tricky race as well. I thought within our Pick 6 sequence here, not a lot of places you could confidently lean on certain horses, some wide open affairs, and not easy to come up with a concise ticket for the races. I took a little bit of a shot here with Lafitte's Fleet dropping in class for the Rodriguez barn, who has been on fire lately.
And he has faced some tough customers, especially over the summertime. Form trailing off, but maybe a drop in class is all he needs. But it is the first off the claim, number 8, My Harbor's Dream for the Rick Dutrow barn. Coming off of an okay effort against much tougher, is cut in half here. We'll see what he does as we'll head up to Chris Griffin for the call.
Cajun Casanova from In Between Horses with the early speed, and joining this rival is My Harbor's Dream right towards the outside. A scramble on for the front end. Poppy's Pride to the inside, now a neck in front. It's Poppy's Pride, Kendrick Harmouche. They'll secure the front here. They're up by a half length, but they're moving quickly there as My Harbor's Dream is tracking in second. Cajun Casanova broke on top, but is now back to fourth. Gets passed by Maxwell Esquire and the Yellow Silks. At the rail progressing as Kunshin Bridge is now in fifth. Very strung out here. Tetsu's climbing a touch there as he gets the kick back with less than a half mile to go. Out wider comes Flint Ridge, who's the gray. Second to last is going to be Lafitte's Fleet with the trailer. Royal Tryst gets a pace duel on the front end. To the inside, it's Poppy's Pride. And to the outside, there is My Harbor's Dream at 8-5. But they went quick. 22 seconds flat for an opening quarter mile. My Harbor's Dream is trying to put away a stubborn Poppy's Pride. A quarter mile left to go. Cushion Bridge is going to have a ground-saving trip down towards the inside for Jose Lescano. It had pace to chase. And here comes Tetsu rolling down the center of the racetrack as the front two have been collared. Here comes Cushion Bridge down to the inside. My Harbor's Dream battles on. The gray is Flint Ridge to the outside of Tetsu and Cajun Casanova. But that ground-saving trip by Cushion Bridge, who's now 2.5 lengths in front. It's Cushion Bridge who's opening up late. Cushion Bridge is your winner. Cushion Bridge gets it. Flying on late was Royal Tryst, who's in a photo with the very game My Harbor's Dream. Also, Flint Ridge was in there with Lafitte's Fleet in 1 minute 16 and 4.
Mild upset at 9-2, dropping back down in class, and actually the first time for a tag for the Linda Rice Barn was number 4, Cushion Bridge. Tight photo there. 4 seconds between your favored My Harbor's Dream and the wet track loving Royal Tryst, who was a price in here, but no doubt about your winner as Cushion Bridge gets it done for Linda Rice and Jose Lescano.
And she gets one closer to tying and then ultimately attempting to surpass the record of wins at NYRA for a calendar year here with Cushion Bridge, who was able to benefit from a ground-saving trip under Jose Lescano and a hot pace up front.
She is now 2 back from tying it. The number to reach to tie is 264, or it's 164? 162. I keep thinking of jockeys when I keep saying 200.
She's getting close.
She's getting close. And she has a few more days to do so. It's very achievable. But at 9-2, Cushion Bridge takes another leg of this pick 6, and the carryover was Royal Tryst, securing second, 4, 5, 8, 10. Race number 6 here at the Big A on America's Day at the Races.
War of Will won the Preakness!
At the line, War of Will, that's a photo for the win. Hey, 650,000.
War of Will, standing at Clayburn Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Thanks for joining us here on the program, brought to you by Clayburn Farm, 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. It's America's Day at the races. Joining you here on FS2, had our first winner on the program. Went to Cunchin Bridge here in race number 6 from the Big A, Linda Rice, and one of her go-to riders, Jose Lascano, teaming up for the 9-2 upset. Sarah?
And just a great ride by him to be aware of how this pace was ultimately sort of coming apart in the later stages and being able to save all the ground to get that nice rail skimming ride. And this is a horse that she claimed several starts ago for $25,000, and I'd say it's been a pretty good claim.
Yeah, she's been, when Linda's aggressive, it seems like with her claims, i.e. moving them up in class, and this is actually the first time he's run for the barn for a tag, having tried that starter allowance condition many times over, ran respectably well in a much tougher allowance, dropped in for the 32, and returns 11.40 for the win over Longshot and wet track lover, Royal Tryst. Over at Oaklawn, their first race on our program today is the 5th. It is a claiming 75 for the fillies and mares, going the 6 furlongs. One scratch in here of a long shot, number 3, Fun Time Girl, and we'll kick off a post spray with number 1, Dixie Penny.
Yeah, horse that's shipping in from Remington and does have some races that would make her tough in here, like her third place effort with a 74 by or 2 back.
The 1A in here, as I scroll through, is Gimme Candy.
A horse that is cutting back in distance, did win at the mile last time out, and kind of wonder where she's going to be positioned early since she showed speed going longer.
Speaking of speed, Awesome Birdie from the rail could provide it.
Absolutely. A horse that is going first off the claim for Dan Ward. He has a decent percentage doing that, 22%.
Here's number 4, Eyes on Point.
The recent races aren't necessarily enough to get the job done here, but has been consistent.
Number 5, Distorted Secrets, off a little bit of a layoff.
Yeah, winner last time out at Prairie Meadows, a 68 buyer, but plenty of Oaklawn success in the past. 3 wins here at this racetrack.
Long Shot Gray, Hey There Joji Girl.
Looking for her 5th win in a row, has been running at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Would need to be a little bit faster, but you have to respect the wins.
And the speed. As number 7, Spoiled Rotten, coming in from California.
She's been a speed and fade type in her last few. Peter Miller in sprints at Oaklawn does pretty well, though.
Cost a Fortune did not. Only $42,000.
A second start of the meet for her. She drops a little bit in class.
Number 9, a long shot Miss Wendy Slew.
And deservedly so. A trainer that's only won for 43 at Oaklawn over the past 5 years.
Consistent type is number 10, Scarlet Position, as far as her numbers are concerned.
Yeah, a little bit interesting, dropping in class a bit and a trainer switch.
And number 11, to round things out, Mia Baby.
A horse that makes a lot of sense in here, getting some class relief. A winner last time at a realistic level, which was 3 starts ago, and now putting the blinkers on.
Right, to see if she can rebound for John Herron, who's looking for another winner on the card as we get it out to the gentlemen standing by trackside, Paul LaDuca and Richard Migliori.
Thanks, Maggie. Yeah, this will close out the early pick 5. And Mig, we've already had some prices to strike the card. So the lowest payout right now is to the 2, about $18,000. Good luck if you're alive. There's a couple 4 out of 5s. Remember here, they do not carry over the 4 out of 5s. They just pay them out. So let's get to race number 5 here. We're both on the same filly here. We both like the 2 in here, the filly by Noble Bird here for Dan Ward. We just actually saw Dan when we were walking out.
Yeah, longtime assistant to Jerry Hollendorfer. Terrific horseman in his own right. Awesome Birdie. Looks good to me here. I wonder, Paul, though, I just feel like when you're making your rally today, you might be a little bit better off towards the outside. I don't think it's a pronounced bias, but I think outside horses have a little bit of an edge.
We saw one horse go gate to wire, but we've seen a couple horses, like you said, come down the crown of the track, and in the last race, a 40-to-1 shot did. I think the 2 pushes forward here. You know, the 7 Spoiled Rotten for Peter Miller, who's taken money. Just a really tough horse to kind of read, right?
Well, it is, and I guess what we're trying to do is decipher how that Southern California form is going to hold up here. Horse making a slight drop in class, has been training here at Oaklawn. Interesting that Peter Miller has a string here this winter. I thought the 5 Distorted Secrets had a little bit of a look. Randy Zimmerman actually gave me a card by the Jocks Room for his taxi service that he owns here in Hot Springs.
Is his taxi service called Send? Because he's usually sending everything to the lead, Ramsey Zimmerman. But Distorted Secrets will get you back to one of his replays. This was at Prairie Meadows, where, you know, this was a nice win with Ramsey aboard from the 1 hole. And a 4-year-old filly. You know, listen, when you look at races like this, you see the 10, who I think has a little bit of shot. She's a 7-year-old mare, but maybe this is a filly that's improving.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I just think that maybe arguably tougher at Prairie Meadows. Horse also sports 3 wins here at Oaklawn Park, and I put a lot of credence in that. I think some horses really have an affinity for this track where some other horses may struggle with it.
That's actually really true. She's very good record. 6 out of 12 in the exacta. Then the 10 Scarlet Position. You know, she's 7. I guess we've seen what we've seen from her, but she's always right there. And I think at 8-1, she's a pretty good value. Kelsey Har will be in the honors for Robert Klein, and I think they're on the send. Another horse that likes the racetrack.
Another horse that likes the racetrack. Listen, she's 10 wins, 13 seconds from 46 starts. She's honest. She shows up. I actually got to meet Kelsey Har by the paddock, and I told her we've been covering Oaklawn for a few years, but this is the first time I'm getting to actually meet some of the people that we've been discussing on air for a while.
It's got to be fun for you, no? You went into the jocks room, had a little fun?
Listen, I'm not allowed in the jocks room in New York, but they love me here at Oaklawn.
Oh, gosh. Well, let's get this day off started. The Meg and I both like the 2 here. Awesome Bird, the filly, by Noble Bird for Dan Ward. Let's go to the track announcer here at Oaklawn Park. Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Scarlet Position coming up to post 10. Hey There, Joji Girl will be next, and 2 more runners after Hey There, Joji Girl. Hey There, Joji Girl goes in. Gimme Candy and Mia Baby, the next 2 and the last 2 to load in for race number 5. Looks like they're working with Hey There, Joji Girl, who's still a little reluctant to go in. It looked like she went in, but maybe they didn't get the last part in, and she backed away. They're going to try to reload Hey There, Joji Girl. Hey There, Joji Girl almost did. Now she's in. Gimme Candy. And Mia Baby to the outside. We're ready to go. And we're off. Good beginning from Dixie Penny, but Awesome Birdie is quicker. Awesome Birdie right to the lead from towards the inside, takes advantage and spurts 2 clear of Distorted Secrets, who runs in the 2nd spot with Scarlet Position. Mia Baby 3 deep on the course with that party. They're a length in front of the gray. Hey There, Joji Girl. Dixie Penny and Gimme Candy are next. The 2 entry mates are side by side, a length clear of Cost of Fortune. Spoiled Rotten, the Southern California Invader, well off the pace, about 10 behind third last. Miss Windy Slew has 1 runner beat, and that's Eyes on Point. As they round the far turn, the favorite Awesome Birdie says, come and catch me if you can. Awesome Birdie by 2.5, approaching the quarter pole and looking strong. Distorted Secrets picks up the running in the 2nd position with Mia Baby as Scarlet Position is dropped out of it. Awesome Birdie, her race to lose at the top of the lane. She's got a 3-length cushion and 3/16 to go. Distorted Secrets gaining ground. Mia Baby 3rd, furlong to go. Francisco Arrieta all over this runner to keep going. Awesome Birdie narrowly holding on, but Distorted Secrets is leveling off, and here's Eyes on Point. Eyes on Point from dead last, and from last to first, it's Eyes on Point to win it. Going away, 22-1. Distorted Secrets 2nd. Awesome Birdie fades to 3rd, and a photo finish for the 4th spot.
Boom goes the Dynamite again, $120,000. Some lucky pick 5 winner, Mig, in the 4, as Trevor Dedman would say, just jumped in at the quarter pole.
This horse looked like a broken field runner. Really nice ride by Luis Quinones. Just finding room, ducked back to the inside, still was not on the rail, was still a little bit removed from the rail. I thought Francisco Arrieta was doing all the right things with the 2 Awesome Birdies. She exploded out of the starting gate and put her at about the 4 path. Was, you know, not going to be able to hold off the 5 Distorted Secrets, making that big run with Randy Zimmerman. But here comes Eyes on Point at 22-1, and chaos reigns here at Oaklawn.
Wow, a mare by point of entry for Renee Burrell and Louis Q. And a lot of people forget Louis Q. Man, this man can ride 25% and gets home here, another $50 winner. So, Maggie, we've had a $70 winner and a $50 winner here so far. in the last 2 races, and hopefully somebody on Naira Bets had that $128,000 pick 5.
Absolutely, Polly. It has been exciting at Oaklawn in this middle part of the card. As Polly said, capping off the early pick 5. Eyes on Point at a big price of 22-1. Just nabbing Distorted Secrets in the shadow of the wire. I was about to say to you, maybe free cab rides tonight with Ramsey Zimmerman's Send Cab Company, but nope, that will not be happening.
Yeah, this is not a horse that I could have come up with, one that was actually kind of stepping up in class a little bit. And while this horse had been consistent, the recent races wouldn't suggest that she would have been able to be competitive here, but nice closing ride, able to weave through all the traffic and able to get the win at a big price. For Luis Quinones and Renee Borrell, who, as you were saying, hadn't had the most successful of Oaklawn meets the past few years, but gets a big one here. Coming up next, though, Manny Franco looks to secure his 3rd Naira riding title this year. So far, his tally is sitting at 236 with several racing days to go. More on Manny coming up after the break.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. Fast horse, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. He could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the program. It's America's Day at the Races here on FS2. I'm Maggie Wolfendale alongside Sarah L. Bodwee, and we have Paul LaDuca and Richard Migliore out in Hot Springs at Oaklawn Park as we see an upset winner at 22-1. Rattling from far off of it in here was number 4, Eyes on Point. Had their eyes on the wire, her and Luis Quinones, Sarah.
Yeah, and a milestone victory for him. And this is a horse that was cutting back in distance on paper, wasn't suggesting that she was going to be ultra competitive with a field like this, but got the right kind of setup and got the job done at a big price.
And Luis Quinones, as you mentioned, getting career win number 4,000. With a career that started back in 1989, picks up that milestone victory. We do have an objection here against your runner-up finisher, number 5. It did look as though maybe a path was taken by Distorted Secrets from the 10 horse in here, Scarlet Position, still waiting on official word as to where they're going to place. But look, I mean, Eyes on Point has 3 horses beaten, turning for home, and is able to rally in amongst rivals to get the win.
Yeah, didn't run like a 22-to-1 shot whatsoever. I mean, just seemed like this horse was always going to be a winner with that kind of setup. But again, not one that I would have had on paper. So congrats if you did, and a big pick 5 score for any that were able to connect all the dots in there as well.
Exactly. Well, things do continue out there at Oaklawn, but as well here at the Big A as the pick 6 sequence continues here too, with race number 7 assembled in the paddock, Sarah. It is an allowance race, optional allowance, I should say, going the mile. Do see a defection of the Speedy Magnolia Midnight in here as well as Montauk Point, but we see 9-5 on number 8 Power Seeker, who does look as though he might assume that speed position, but I feel like his last run enhanced by the track.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he got such a perfect ride to be able to save all the ground and rally towards the inside, kind of reminiscent of the ride that Jose Lezcano just gave in the last race. I think that he's very much so dressed up off that last win.
Yeah, we'll see if he can recreate that 91 Buyer as we get back out to Oaklawn with Paulie standing by with a special guest, Mr. 4000.
Yes, I am. I'm standing by Louis Quinones. 4,000 wins. Was it as good as the first win?
Yes, better.
I mean, this horse ran for you at the top of the lane. They're just sort of laying back and just exploded late.
I know he's at the top of the lane. I need to get a final place. You know, he was running underneath. Every time I needed to get to a hole, she moved up too, and she moved up too. I said, whoa, let's go.
4,000 wins is a lot of wins, Lou. I mean, it takes a whole team to do this. And, you know, what do you attribute this to? Or who was somebody that you, like, idolized growing up?
You know what? I just first one in the family to ride horses, you know, and now my brothers are doing it too. So, you know, I just learned a little bit at a time, and I just couldn't do it by myself. I think everybody that put me in the horses, and every winner, everybody that contributed to it, I owe it to them.
Well, a humble guy, many few words here, but Louis Quinones, 4,000 wins. I think a lot of people don't realize how many wins that is. Congratulations, Louis.
Thank you so much.
And Luis Quinones, a really nice gentleman. I got to meet him last year, the year before, when he was riding Dwayne Lucas's filly.
Secret Oath.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
Thank you. You always have me. My head's a little foggy with this cold. Anyway, horses on the track for today's 7th race here at the Big A. The 1A, just went by. There's number 2, Bold Endeavor. He'll be going out for Gustavo Rodriguez. There's number 3, Mr. Bob. I love that name.
Yeah, he's a horse that has some wins in the past, recently at Keeneland, that would make him tough in here.
Number 4, Bourbon Calling.
This is the horse that I actually picked on top in here, another for Trevor McCarthy, who's having quite a day so far.
Trevor really sending in that warm-up, too, is number 5, Synthesis. He's been facing some tough rivals.
He has. His form around this time last year would make him very tough, but we'll see if he can get back to it.
And off the claim here for... that life changer went by. His number 6 is Guntown, Fernando Abreu.
A horse that was able to defeat Bourbon Calling last time when they both joined up against Win It.
And there's your favorite. Jose Lezcano, Linda Rice looking to go back-to-back.
As we discussed, a horse that got a number that is probably a little bit dressed up by the racetrack last time out.
And number 9, Ducali, coming off of a 3rd place effort. 3rd off that extended layoff.
I like him stretching back out in distance. I think that'll help him a little bit. A horse that showed some promise early on in his career.
What do you do with number 10, Stolen Base, who it's been a long time since he's been on the main track. Last time we saw him was a year ago on a sloppy track in the Commonwealth off the turf.
I think he's a little bit interesting. I mean, as you mentioned, he's done most of his running on the grass, but it's not as though he's shown that he can't handle a dirt surface, and he does get some moisture in today's racetrack. So I think at a price, he's worth taking a peek at.
Yeah, and he broke his maiden first time out up at Saratoga on the main track, and then it's been mostly turf and synthetic since then, but Bruce Levine, Flying P, Private Purchase will take over, and he is a generous 10-1 as of now. Now, are we both against number 8 Power Seeker in here.
Yes, because if you look at his 2 races prior to his last one, I know that they were with the Brad Cox barn and, perhaps not against this level of competition, but those races don't make him a winner or really a contender at all in this type of situation. And I think that him being the favorite off of that last race, it's not as though he couldn't have improved first off the claim for Linda Rice, but he had such a perfect trip and was completely with the racetrack.
Yeah, it was definitely a gold rail day in which we saw Oceans Reserved aggressively handled and sent to the lead by Javier Castellano, but he drifted off the rail down the stretch and just opened things up for Power Seeker. And furthermore, you would have to think Ducali, who is your current second choice, is going to be fairly prominent early on too, given the fact that, as you mentioned, he's stretching back out in distance and also coming out of races in Kentucky, which were run in a fairly quick manner.
Yeah, I think having those 2 sprints now stretching back out, he's going to be forward, and we have to go back in the time machine to see a race where he was competitive. But the horse that he's finishing second to here in 2021 is Cody's Wish. And I mean, he was earning an 89 Beyer speed figure for that effort. Some things clearly haven't worked out. He only started once in 2022, and now he's finally able to put some races back together. But I think this is a horse that you do have to take seriously now, having a couple of races and getting more distance.
And furthermore, I thought last time, you want to kind of forgive him for his first race back, although Brad Cox does a decent job getting them back to the races, but he kind of was steadied back along the rail last time, kind of lost some of that forward position, whereas Anchor, the eventual winner, he was more prominent, and I thought he ran on and stayed on nicely. We saw the second place finisher, albeit at Turfway, on the Tapeta come back with a win with a 90 Beyer speed figure. So I think at least he's been facing some horses, as you mentioned, going back in the time machine, some nice horses prior to this, but even now, some in-form runners.
Yeah, I agree completely. And even the horse that won that race, Two Back Nighttime, is super consistent on both dirt and synthetic. So I agree that he's been facing some decent company. And honestly, this might be a type of situation where this is one of the lesser fields that he's faced, and that's no insult to this field. He's just been in against some really good horses.
Did you ultimately go to him?
I went to Bourbon Calling, a horse that around this time last year was starting to put some races together that would make him very tough in here. And I think that if he can get back to that sort of trend that he had around this time, he should be able to get the job done.
Okay, he was a little bit more aggressively handled last time, which I think led to a better placing, but I don't know if he really wants to run that way. We'll see how he's handled today by Trevor McCarthy, who looks to get his 3rd win on the card with Robb Atras as they head into line, and Chris Griffin brings you the call.
Here's Ducali. Stolen base to the outside. And in. All set. They're off. Good breakdown towards the inside here as Mr. Bob is flashing early speed. Also there is Bold Endeavor trying to join them. They line up on the front end here. Also moving through there is Synthesis in the red cap, and now Synthesis will emerge and assert and take command. It's a Synthesis who's got the lead. Right to the outside is going to be Life Changer, who's stalking off the pace setter now. Then comes Guntown, who's in 3rd and at the rail. It's Bourbon Calling, who's now in 4th. Ducali out in the center of the racetrack is in 5th. It's followed there by Mr. Bob, who broke on top but is losing some ground now, is 3.5 off the lead. Moving forward is Bold Endeavor. Way out there on the far outside is going to be Stolen Base. It's got to be about 5-6 wide here in the 6th path as they get set to move into the far turn. Went 22 and 4 for that opening quarter mile. It's Power Seeker, who's the trailer, and up front, down towards the inside, that's Synthesis. Synthesis has got the lead, has been hounded along here towards the outside. Is moving forward. Here comes the run from Bourbon Calling, continued to progress. Also moving out, there's Guntown out wider. Bold Endeavor is tightly at the rail. Ducali is in the mix. That's the leading 5, 45.50 for that half-mile time. Dylan Davison, Stolen Base. They're still going to be about 5 wide here as they get set to reach the top of the stretch. Bourbon Calling is trying to assert, and Bourbon Calling now kicks for home. It's Bourbon Calling. Synthesis has not gone away in wins. Synthesis maybe puts a nose back in front. Here comes that run from Guntown down the center of the racetrack. Stolen bases in the pink silks, and Bold Endeavor just had to check in. Castillo tips out wider. It's Guntown approaching the 16th pole. Guntown's got the lead, is up by 3/4 of a length. Synthesis won't go away. Also chasing here is Bold Endeavor. Guntown almost there. Guntown fires and gets the win. It's Guntown who gets it over Synthesis, who came back. Then a photo with Bold Endeavor and Bourbon Calling in 1 minute 36 and 4.
Guntown made a big run last time out over a muddy sealed track to get second. Today, well, he didn't have to win it because he won it.
Are you proud of that one?
I am. That was just purely off the fly. I would
Very
just like
good.
to say.
Nice and spontaneous.
You know.
This
That's
is
how we roll here.
You have to have some fun. This is a situation where we saw some contested fractions, but it's not as though the pace was completely falling apart. I mean, Synthesis at a huge price was still very game. Bourbon Calling right there in the thick of things, and only in the very late stages was anyone really making up ground. And Guntown, as we had mentioned, he was able to defeat Bourbon Calling last time, but that was a race where you thought maybe he wasn't going to necessarily be able to do it again. Well, he was able to get the right kind of setup in here and get the job done at 8-1.
And good for Fernando Abreu, kind of getting him back into some of the good form that we saw from him going back to Linda Rice over the summer, and even before that when he was picked up from the Midwest. So Guntown getting the win here at a generous 8-1 over 19-1 with Synthesis, who was ultra game on the rail, setting those early fractions, and Bold Endeavor at 23-1. Bourbon Calling loomed large under Trevor McCarthy. It's really hard, I think, to ride this horse. I think it gives you false impressions.
I think that being so close, it seemed like he was going to offer him more, and then he just didn't quite have it.
Well, it is 6-5-2-4 unofficially here in the 7th race from the Big A. Prices and reactions to come on America's Day at the Races.
Into second, Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Thanks for tuning in to America's Day at the Races, and we are proudly brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. With your Naira Bets account, into the winner's circle was number 6 in this 7th race. That's Guntown. Luis Rivera Jr., 5-pound apprentice who continues to impress, gets the job done for Fernando Abreu at Patter Pop Racing.
I got to know him a little bit last time, finishing second at a big price, and kind of was able to build off of that performance, sitting off of what was a hot pace, but one that wasn't necessarily falling apart either, and just sat a nice trip, and certainly likes a little bit of moisture in the racetrack as well.
Yeah, picks up his 2nd win out of 6 starts on a wet track with 2 seconds and a 3rd. Guntown returning the 1840 for the 5th leg in the pick 6, which includes a carryover here at the Big A. Generous price is not an easy sequence to peg down, Sarah. We'll find out in a moment who is covered heading into the last leg.
I know the secrets.
Tell me.
1,
Spill it.
4, and 9. Everyone else is a double carryover.
Nice. 1, 4, and 9. And some drama back over at Oaklawn as we did see a DQ. Who are they searching for? Are they searching for Richie?
They've got everyone out looking for him.
Just go back to the jocks room. As we did see Distorted Secrets disqualified and placed behind number 10 for interference in the stretch. Eventually, Eyes on Point over Awesome Birdie and Mia Baby. Eyes on Point 47-40 for the win in what has been a pretty explosive early pick 5 over at Oaklawn. Well, we've already had some stakes action here at the Big A for the New York breds. The Alex M. Robb did take place, and going in, Chad Brown looked to have that 2-prong effect in here, Sarah, as aggregation looked to be the speed, but then you have the classy Dr. Ardito, who always puts in a late run.
He does. He's just been ultra consistent, especially against state-bred company. And you could make some excuses for his last start in the Cigar Mile, where that was a day where you really did need to show speed and be towards the inside. He generally does neither of those things, so able to get back to a more fair racetrack against some company that's not open grade 2 and able to get the job done over his stablemate.
Yeah, and aggregation really coming into form, though, as of late. Ever since we kind of got back to the races from the May to the August affair, and once they put the blinkers on, second off that layoff, he has really turned things around. He's put in some good performances. I don't think he lost anything in defeat today to his stablemate. He fended off the early challenge of Barise and just couldn't quite secure the win over Dr. Ardito, who gets his 8th win in 14 career starts with earnings very close to $500,000.
Yeah, just a cool horse and very easy to root for, and it's the Chad Brown Exacto.
Yeah, as it kind of figured to be going into that Alex M. Robb. Back over at Oaklawn, their 6th race coming up, as we will take a look at this allowance race going the mile and the 16th, and it does feature Hollywood Ending for Brad Cox. Disappointing run here from Ducali in our featured race. We'll see if Hollywood Ending, who stretches things out to the 2 turns for the first time, can display some speed and maybe take them gate to wire. This son of Curlin trying a 2-turn mile and a 16th for the first time. But we will kick things off with a post parade in a moment, as Steve Asmussen teaming up with his son Keith. I looked it up, going back to 2020, Sarah, Keith has ridden 448 horses for his dad.
That's all?
I know, because they do tend to run a lot of horses, with 59 wins.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, he's gotten some support from other outfits, but certainly his biggest client is his father.
Right, and just nice to have that family affair, of course, and be able to see the success that they have together, but also see him go out on his own and have some success in other barns.
And Steve also owning Inexorable, who does kick off the post parade, has been in good form against Starter Allowance Company.
Yeah, he's been running well since joining the barn. A winner 2 back at Churchill Downs going a mile, finished 2nd last time out. He's actually a half to grade 1 winner, Mischievous Alex.
Nice. Hollywood Ending could show some speed here.
Just broke his maiden with an 89 buyer, now getting a little bit more ground to work with.
Robertina Diodoro back as listed trainer here at Motown Music.
A horse that has won his last race, coming in from Remington, would need to get a little bit faster.
Here's the hot team of Julien Leparoux and Kenny McPeak with 10 days later. They went by. Affable Monarch, stretching back out in distance for Dan Ward.
I definitely like a little bit more ground for him. I just don't know if his more recent races necessarily make him a winner, but he's a little bit interesting and a fair price if you like him.
Agreed. Getting the win via DQ last time was Lucky Boss.
He was just in a spot that made a lot more sense for him last time, but now steps up a little bit.
Pledge of Allegiance first off the claim for Ron Moquette.
He's been a popular claim. He's gone to a couple of different barns as of late.
Cat Daddy. I always feel like Wayne Catalano should have this horse.
Plenty of back races that would fit, but the recent ones not so much.
Big Hat Willie will go from turf to dirt.
DQ'd last time out on the turf. His grass races have been his better numbers, but certainly very capable on the dirt and working well at Oaklawn.
Yeah, that will complete the field as we were talking about the Asmussen team. We also see youngest son Eric in the irons too. And there's the stats. So decent. I mean, the average payout's pretty good.
The fact that they finish in the money 43% of the time as well, I mean, that just goes to show with a sample size that large that this is something that really works out for both of them.
And we've really seen the success of Keith at this meet here. We really kind of saw him last year from the start of the meet as he dabbled in it during COVID and everything, but Steve made him go back to school, finish out his school, get his degree. But last year, it was kind of like the honing the skills process. And from the start of the meet last year to the end, you really saw this transformation of him just becoming a better rider, a neater, tidier, stronger rider, and really understanding a race well.
And didn't he just recently have a win that put him past his father's total wins as a jockey?
Yes. He has a long way to go to catch Uncle Cash, but yes. So I think the career for Keith may be lasting a little bit longer than it did his dad, too.
Possibly.
But a guy that rode, I believe, with Steve, well, he's standing by next to the track with Paul LaDuca. That's Richard Migliore, guys.
Yeah, Paul, actually I did. I rode with Steve, actually rode with Cash first. Cash and I went over to ride the very first Japan Cup together. Cash won it on Mare's Eat Oats. I was third on the very one. And their mom, Marilyn, was so nice. I was 16 years old. She snapped the lead shank on me, podiumed me through a very overwhelming experience going to Tokyo. But we had a great time. And Steve was a good rider, just Mother Nature was against him. And I'm really proud of Keith to improve the way he has and never having the benefit of riding with the apprentice allowance speaks volumes for how well schooled he was. But he does come from maybe the greatest racing family in North America.
Well, you forget, I mean, listen, his father's won the most races as a trainer. His uncle, you've argued, and I can say changed kind of the game when he went over Europe with Cash. He was some kind of rider. And now you got Eric. And you guys were talking back there in studio in New York how Keith has now got more wins than Steve does in the saddle. Eric's going to be riding. I told Steve he's got one up. He goes, my poor wife. That's what he said.
Yeah, I tell you what, I really don't envy all of these parents. I think about Robbie Davis. He's got 3 of his kids riding. Now, Steve with his kids riding. It just must be nerve-wracking to watch your kids out there.
Right? It is really nerve-wracking. But, yeah, I'll tell you what, Keith handles everything really well. And he's getting a little play here on the 1, but we'll get to the 2 here. Hollywood ending for Brad Cox, son of Curlin. First time out was good mix. Second time out, the money was down at 3-5. Seems like it was a loud race. Spielman, the third place finisher, has come back to win. This was the 7.5 furlong. It's a very elongated mile, basically.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and honestly, it's a very demanding distance because it's run more like a sprint than it is a route. So they run hard for the whole 7.5. He has a pedigree that says the 2 turns shouldn't be any issue. He's a half to actress. She won the Black Eyed Susan, so she's a great stakes winner around 2 turns. Big, strong-looking son of Curlin here.
Yeah, Milwaukee Brew on the bottom side. Like you said, Milwaukee Brew wanted to run all day long. So I could see this horse really loving the stretch out in the 2 turns. You get to some of the outside horses. Well, let's get to the 4 in here. The conundrum with the 4. Now, we did see a horse launch from dead last in the last race. this is where this horse is probably going to be today, too, as well, 10 days later.
Yeah, I just have this feeling watching the races from early on. And by the way, this hotel here at Oaklawn's pretty cool. You can look out your window and watch the races.
Yeah.
I was up there before I came down to join you, Paul. It just feels like closers are having a little bit of the best of it today. Horses making that last run. This horse fits that bell. Julian Leparoux, I think, has been riding terrific. You know, one thing, I just feel like his confidence level has really come back. And it's so important for any athlete, as you know, to have confidence. It's not that your skills deteriorate, it's your belief in your skills. And I think it looks to me like Julian Leparoux really believing in himself again.
Yeah, and, you know, and the part of it is when your skills start to diminish at the end of your career in any sport, you start getting by through smarts and through intelligence and through getting ways that you knew from other guys, that you learned how you get through this injury or get through that injury, maybe cut a little corner here, maybe do this and that. So you start being more cerebral when you get older and injuries start piling up.
I think it's a great point. Listen, Father Time is undefeated. I know myself, the last few years of my career, physically I was beat up, but mentally I could compensate and make up for things. And I think every good athlete kind of finds a way to get it done.
You know, we were talking about the Peter Miller horse in the last race. Again, another horse that has turf races on the form. Ricardo Santana on board. Does this horse at least lay second? When you look at this race, does the two go straight to the front end here? I like the one a little bit drafting, but it seems like everybody's getting off the rail.
Yeah, it looks like they're all kind of getting off the rail. I do think the two, Hollywood Ending goes to the lead. Christian Torres obviously knows his way around Oaklawn Park, probably stays a bit removed from the rail. We did see a horse rally up the inside, but he still was not dead on the rail in the last race that won it. I thought the 9, I don't like this horse per se on paper, right? He's coming out of 2 turf races. He's got a tough post, but man, did he have his summer coat on. I mean, he brought his California tan with him.
I like that. So you like the 9 a little bit on looks. I like the 1 a little bit on trip. And to me, the 2, I get it, at 7-5, the horse to beat in here, but I just don't like taking the favorite against winners for the first time. If you were looking for anybody else, maybe, is the 6 getting underappreciated here? At 16-1, Lucky Boss put up via DQ, but a horse that's in pretty good form.
Good form, has a win here at Oaklawn Park, was placed first to a DQ last time. I think he's kind of interesting, and that's way too big a price, Paul, 16-1, and we've seen big prices on this day.
I don't know if we're just going to see $180,000 pick 5 like we saw, but good luck if you're starting your late pick 5 here, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It's another tough sequence. I think a lot of tickets will be riding on the 2 here. Hollywood Ending, and then will that be the case here? We'll go to Matt Dinnerman for the rest of the load and the call. Good luck.
Just a couple more runners to load, 10 days later. Cat Daddy. Big Hat Willie to the outside. We're ready to go. And we're off. Good beginning for all the runners. Hollywood Ending, prominent in the early stages. Cat Daddy, the long shot, sent for speed by Luis Fuentes and grabs the lead. Cat Daddy at 61-1, sets the pace, gets towards the rail, establishes a clear lead of about a length from Lucky Boss, who takes a hold back in second. Pledge of Allegiance and a good gallop alongside of him. Motown Music is next in the 4th position, a little bit keen off the pace, is running 3 behind with Big Hat Willie, the Southern California Invader. Hollywood Ending, Affable Monarch are side by side. They're a length better than 10 days later. And Inexorable is the early trailer down the backstretch. 8 lengths from tip to tail as the long shot Cat Daddy sets the pace. A length and a half ahead of Pledge of Allegiance, second. Lucky Boss drafting inside of him. Another length and a half to Hollywood Ending, joining Motown Music, more settled down between horses. Big Hat Willie 3 deep. 10 days later, looking good now in the black jacket, getting closer. 10 days later, making a move, and he's only 2.5 behind now as he's passed a few runners charging into the forward turn. Affable Monarch attempts to follow him. Inexorable has yet to pass a runner as they dash around the forward turn. Cat Daddy being challenged by Pledge of Allegiance. Here comes Big Hat Willie. Here comes 10 days later on the extreme outside. Lucky Boss going to ride the rail, slips inside of a weakening Big Hat Willie as they swing for home. Any chances here? 10 days later on the grandstand side, Lucky Boss continues to ride the rail towards the lead. Cat Daddy has run a cracker lumberjack race. Pledge of Allegiance right there. This quartet in a single file line with a 16th to go. Pledge of Allegiance, Lucky Boss, these two deciding it. Pledge of Allegiance outside, Lucky Boss inside. Photo finish. Very tight. Pledge of Allegiance, Lucky Boss on the line together with 10 days later third.
Wow, this is really tight between the 6 and the 7. 22-1 or 25-1. And right behind us is Ron Moquette. He said that he's hoping that he got there with the 7. This is really close with Rafael Bejarano, Mig. The pace did not play out like we thought. The 2 did not go to the front end. It turned out to be a stretch duel down the wire.
Well, this was some battle, and this is one thing about the races here at Oaklawn. They're so competitive. Turn for home, there's 6 or 7 horses that can win it. These two separate themselves from the field. Now, we're a little bit past the wire, so it's a little bit of a tough angle for us. I got to tell you, Ron Moquette might be the coolest cat on the grounds. He's got a horse at a driving photo finish, and he didn't even root, didn't say boo. He just watched very stoically.
Ooh!
Oh, man, that's
that is
desperately
very
close.
tight. Very, very tight. And, you know, if you look at the top of the lane, it looked like the 6 had shifted out and kind of impeded another runner. But, you know, when you go back and you look at it, I don't think he did. I think he was clear. And you could see Emmanuel Esquivel on the inside of the 6, Rafael Bejarano on the outside, and the 6 gets the bob here. 22-1 inside prevails. And we were talking about Lucky Boss coming off that decent race last time, just got dismissed. And again, another Brad Cox runner at 3-5 did not fire in first time against winners, Mig. Sometimes you fall in love with those one race numbers.
Well, you know, yeah, and then you're looking at him and you're looking at the pedigree and obviously the connections. But honestly, Paul, coming by the wire the first time, he was struggling. He just was never traveling well into the bridle.
No, and the one that I liked too was never traveling as well. But congratulations to Lucky Boss, Cipriano Contreras, and Emmanuel Esquivel. Just out-finished Ronnie Moquette. Wow, what a whacker here. Another bomb. We've had 3 straight horses, a 40-1 shot, 22-1 shot, 25-1 shot. Maggie, hopefully there's somebody out there is playing 10-cent supers.
You would have to think so, Paulie. I turned to Sarah as they made their way down the backside. I said, holy long shots. I wasn't sure if they were going to hold on, but they did in the end, Sarah, with Lucky Boss pulling off another upset here, winning outright this time around. But it looks as though Sippy Contreras has him in good form out there in Hot Springs.
I guess so. I mean, able to pair up those back-to-back efforts, and we'll see what the figure comes back as, but certainly one that did make some sense based on his last race and was let go again at a big price.
Yep, at 22-1, just nudges out Pledge of Allegiance. Back over here at the Big A, we have a nightcap coming your way, which is an allowance race for the New York bred fillies. And we see 3-1 on number 5 in here, Lady Mine, who's coming back off a long layoff, but looking for her 3rd win in a row as she makes her 2nd start for Jeremiah Englehart.
We haven't seen her for a minute, as you mentioned, but a horse that's kept good form. When we have seen her, she was able to get the job done over a surface with some moisture in it last time out, a 74 Beyer speed figure for that effort. Won the start before that for the $30,000 tag. And you look at who she used to be facing in her prior races when she was tackling some of those state-bred stakes. I mean, just a horse that has been able to compete with some of the best at that time. So certainly makes a lot of sense on paper and is being bet accordingly.
She looks, I mean, the TV never does justice, but she does look fairly fit out there for a filly that I know can be a bit of a heavier body type, moving really nicely as well. And as you mentioned, seems to, in a way, prefer a wet sealed surface as well. What did you make of number 1 in here, Scoring Chance? We talked a lot about Power Seeker last time out being with the track. Wasn't she too?
Yes, she was. Absolutely. I think that she was completely assisted by the way the racetrack was playing. But what I like about her, dressed up performance or not, is that she was bet that day and she was very professional. First time out, I thought, to kind of wait on the rider's cues. And it was one of those situations where you saw Irad Ortiz Jr., who was up that day, looking for room. And as he started to look, she turned her head. And I just thought that that was cool, that she was paying so much attention in her first race to exactly what he was doing, that she also started looking for that spot, was able to get it and got the job done. So dressed up off of that win because of the track? Absolutely. But I think that knowing she can rate and maybe able to take a step forward now, I think that she's still a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I think I really like her as an individual, and I think there's some talent there. But also, I thought it was interesting that they opted to, and, you know, you're kind of, you know, you're almost handcuffed to what the condition book is if you have a horse that needs to run, that is in good form. So sometimes the distances don't come up as you want them. But I thought from the 7 furlongs that she'd want to go further, looking at her in the paddock. So I thought it was a little bit counterintuitive that they opted to turn her back to the 6, but obviously showed enough tactical speed to be effective in a spot like this. But we'll see if she can overcome the gold rail trip and win last time out. Another horse taking money is number 4, True Empress, in here coming in from Finger Lakes, has run fast figures up there.
She has, and has plenty of races that would make her tough in here. We'll see how that form actually ends up translating here, but she's had plenty of starts on this circuit before heading over there, so it's not as though she's just a Finger Lakes horse.
Any interest in number 8, Yankee Agate, for first time for the Rudy Rodriguez barn? You see these horses improve drastically.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, maybe you give the excuse that she was coming off a little bit of a freshening last time, bobbled a little bit at the break and was wide, so perhaps could build off of that effort. And I mean, you just have to pay attention to everything that the barn is sending out right now. So at 20-1, I wouldn't be totally opposed to including this horse somewhere.
Who did you ultimately land on?
I did pick Scoring Chance. I know that she was a little bit, you know, looking a certain way after her last race, but I just think that there's another step forward in there for her, and I like that she's shown that she can already rate towards the inside.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what she does here, this daughter of Good Magic for, well, the other Abreu. We saw brother Fernando get the win in the last race. We'll see if it is an Abreu late double with Meat and Naira leading rider Manny Franco in the irons. They head into line here. And Sarah, I just want to give a quick mention to number 13 on the outside at 6-1, Sandy's Garden. She's a 4-time winner, but all of those wins have come at Finger Lakes.
And she ran okay at Saratoga on an off-the-turf race, but she was favored that day, and that was a field that's not quite as tough as this one is.
She does have some speed. She'll have to display it from the outside as she does move back into the barn of Joe Lee. Jackie Davis in the irons, as we see definitely a theme of the Davises riding together. We have Katie in here, Dylan, both of which already having wins on the card, as well as Katie's husband, Trevor McCarthy. He's had 2 wins on the card already. So interesting family angle as they head into line for the nightcap here at the Big A. Chris Griffin brings you the call.
All set. And they're off. Down towards the inside, it's Easy Play, who flashes early speed. Sandy's Garden on the far outside. Little Lindsay's in that early fray. And also here comes Newsly to join these early leaders, tightly bunched here on the front end. Also in between horses, they're trying to poke on through. That's going to be Special Pal. Now 3 across the racetrack here as they're tightly bunched. And that was Little Lindsay, who just had to check as they approach 4 furlongs left to go. They sort themselves out. There's Newsly, who's now tracking in 5th. And behind that one comes Highway Harmony from the back. Lady Mine is now rolling. Dylan Davis, they've made up a lot of ground, passing rivals quickly there as Lady Mine is now about to secure and take that 6th position. Following that one comes True Empress is back there with Yankee Agate losing some ground. Harlan's Bond is trying to rally on. Also Jackson Avenue far back, Scoring Chance as they reach a quarter mile left to go. They went 22 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile, 45-4 for that half mile time. And on the front end, it's Sandy's Garden, Little Lindsay, the gray, and Lady Mine has had this long sustained rally on the grandstand side, is coming in the 10-strike silks. And here comes that run from Lady Mine, who is at the back but is passing rivals. And Lady Mine is now in front. It's Little Lindsay who battles on. Also, here comes Harlan's Bond, but Lady Mine will win the finale. And Dylan Davis with another one. It's Lady Mine who gets it over Little Lindsay. Then came Harlan's Bond. Also, there was Easy Play in 1 minute 11.32 seconds.
Impressive comeback victory for number 5, Lady Mine. Gets her 3rd win in a row. Dylan Davis in the irons. And Sarah, she was kind of toiling early on after not breaking that well. But, wow. At the 3/8 pole, she jumps into this race and really catches your eye, as was noted by Chris Griffin.
And you have to be on a horse who you know is so much the best in a field like this to be able to make that kind of move and still get the win. As he said, that long sustained run to really just circle this entire field, and that's kind of how she wins her races. She comes from further back and sort of makes that wide move, and it's a Davis family exacta here with little Lindsay finishing second.
Nearly had the trifecta.
So close.
Who interrupted that? Wait a minute.
Jose Gomez.
Oh, Jose Gomez. Okay. Gosh, Jose. No, I'm kidding. As Dylan gets the better of sister Katie in the end, Harlan's Bond still waiting for a photo for the 4th spot here. But Dylan, with his second win on the card, gets a win with favored Lady Mine. And, it almost feels kind of like a they knew type of thing because of the layoff, but her 2 races on wet tracks were just, I thought, superior.
I agree. I think that you had the questions, of course, if she was going to come back and be able to repeat that, but if she did, you knew that she was at least going to be pretty effective in here.
Jose Gomez, odd man out, as Jackie Davis does secure 4th. Nearly a Davis trifecta. But Lady Mine, she was all good today. 10-strike racing for Jeremiah Engelhart. Dylan Davis in the irons. After this break, we'll return with official prices.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Tonalist, a 4-time Grade 1 winner with 11 triple-digit buyers, including the Belmont Stakes and the Cigar Mile. He's already living up to his potential as a sire with multiple graded stakes winners, including Grade 1 winner Country Grammar and Grade 2 winner Tonalist Shape, plus multiple 6-figure yearling and 2-year-old sales. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Tonalist, standing at Lane's End.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to the program. It's America's Day at the Races here on FS2, and we are proudly brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, check out americasbestracing.net. Lady Mine, this is when that wide and sustained rally commenced here as she would eventually circle the field on her way to victory today.
Yeah, just really able to come back off the layoff pretty much in similar fashion to her prior races and running the same kind of way with that wide closing move over a wet surface, which she really seems to relish, and able to get up for the win over Katie Davis and Little Lindsay, and almost with Jackie Davis and Sandy's Garden to finish third. Jose Gomez on Harlan's Bond comes up for that spot.
I think I saw Jackie Davis looking around saying, where are my siblings? Oh, there they go. Anyway, she was not covered, Sarah, as the favorite. So heading into the Saturday card, we'll have a double carryover of over 90,000 going into the Aqueduct Saturday card.
You know that someone out there is kicking themselves for not just adding the favorite in the finale on their ticket. To have it right the rest of the way over a tricky sequence and then lose on that has to really hurt quite a bit.
All right, well, here at the Big A, our 3 legs of the cross-country pick 5 are down. Kicked it off with an $11 winner, $18 winner, and $7.50 as the tepid favorite in Lady Mine on to Oaklawn, where long shots have been prevalent there. We'll see if the trend continues as we'll take a look at race number 6 prices. Now, it was number 6, Lucky Boss at 22-1 for $46.40 over Pledge of Allegiance. That exacta for $1 returned $325.70, Sarah.
Yeah, wild. You kind of thought that the pace was going to start coming apart, but it actually held together pretty well 10 days later, really kind of the only one making up some ground, and it ended up being that long shot exacta, and unfortunately for Ron Moquette, just barely missed Pledge of Allegiance first off the claim, but at least you know that you claimed a good horse.
Yeah, exactly. Getting him back into some of his better form, I'd say, today is a horse that has run at least okay over at Oaklawn. Race number 7, it's coming up next. Horses are in the paddock for this, claiming 50, going the 6 furlongs, and currently we see number 9 in here, Prisoner. Familiar name around these parts. Second off the claim for Tom Amis as your favorite. More to come on America's Day at the Races.
Precocity.
Strategic speed. Some speed at 2, but can carry it on through their later careers.
Improbable, full of run. Improbable, now a Grade 1 winner.
It is a complete runaway, an authoritative run.
It's improbable to win the Whitney.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Clayburn Farm, 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. I'm Maggie Wolfendale alongside Sarah El-Badwi, and we have Paul LaDuca and Richard Migliori out in Hot Springs at Oaklawn Park as their 7th race coming up, claiming 50, going the 6 furlongs, and 5-2 on Prisoner. Second choice on the outside, Top Gunner, who's dropping out of consecutive stakes efforts. We will bring you a post parade in a moment, but it felt like those 2 horses, Sarah, were the right 2.
And a horse like Top Gunner was never going to be anywhere near that 12-1 morning line when you have a horse that hasn't been in a race that's not a stakes race since April of 2022.
Exactly. And before the last 2 stakes, he was running numbers that legitimately make him a winner here.
Right. And I mean, you have to question the last 2 races and, you know, the fact that he hasn't run a competitive figure so far this year. But 12 to 1 was never going to happen.
Bit of a price. So number 1, League of Legends.
He is third off of a layoff. He ran competitively here last season, but would need to step up the recent form a bit.
Yeah, exactly. As number 2, Ignitus for the coach, Dwayne Lucas. Not in great form.
No, very little running last time out. Now drops back in for a tag, and it's been a while since we've seen his best form.
Here is a California Invader, Radical Right, will move from turf to dirt, again for Peter Miller.
Getting some class relief as he returns to dirt here. He has some high 80s to 90 buyer races that could win.
Just a disastrous race for Mac Daddy 2, who was interfered with quite badly by a loose horse at Keeneland last time.
Yeah, an avoided claim subsequent to that for $6,250. It now drops a little bit more for the $50,000 tag. At Oaklawn earlier this year, he'll have to rematch with some horses that did defeat him.
There's an old warrior, chip off the old block.
Speed and Fade last time out versus State Breds at Horseshoe, Indianapolis would need an improved performance.
Number 6, Flags Up for Robertina Diodoro, Flying P.
Second off the claim for him. He's actually the same percentage first and second off the claim, but it is a higher ROI first off the claim.
Interesting. Is number 7, Brez Lau, loves Oaklawn.
Yeah, I thought he was a little bit interesting, not taking a ton of money right now. He did win last time out and is stepping up.
Off the somewhat quick turnaround, 2 weeks since we last saw him. It's number 9, Prisoner.
The last race was just such a contested pace, and he had every right to fall apart in there, but his win 2 back certainly makes him a major player.
See, I thought, don't wait up, he wired the field. I didn't think he had much of an excuse, but number 11, Top Gunner, maybe a drop in class will get him back to his best form.
It just makes sense for him now dropping in at this level because he's faced some tough horses as of late. It's maybe a question whether or not he can get back to some of that 2022 form this year, so perhaps that's why the drop.
All right, guys, take it away here with race number 7. Do we like the 2 favorites on the outside?
Well, we like one of the favorites on the outside. You know, the thing with the 11, Top Gunner, truly, he's a really tough read because if you went back to some of his races in 2022, he would probably bury this field. It's just his last couple of races are concerning.
Yeah, leave a lot to be desired his last 2 races, but he is getting class relief. He also is getting back to Lasix, and maybe that is a factor. Gets the outside draw with Julian Leperoux. It's just really hard to take short prices with all the bombs we see coming in, Paul.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and a couple horses have looked good on the racetrack. And, like, listen, Mick and I both like the 9 in here. Prisoner for Tommy Amos, a horse off the claim. Just got that one race in. I thought needed the race, and now coming back and is probably going to be pretty sharp. You know, the win at Saratoga on the mud, this horse was game for Charlie Baker that day.
Yeah, very game. Fought all the way down to the wire. You had the apprentice that day, Jose Torres. You get Christian Torres today, journeyman who needs no introduction, especially around here at Oaklawn Park. And I guess we kind of got to root for our colleague, Tom Amos, too, right?
Yeah, right? I mean, this is a horse that, like, you know, Tom claimed. And, you know, Tommy's one of those guys that gets a horse kind of into his program a little bit and then, you know, gives this horse one race. And the Churchill Downs track was kind of deep, somewhat like here, where you need a race. So I think the 9 will be tough in here at 2 to 1. Again, Cipriano Contreras, we just saw him strike at 22 to 1. Is the 7 getting overlooked after a W here, Breslau?
It very well could be. You know, you and I were watching the horses. They went by, and we've got a great vantage point. We're right, you know, flush to the track. We both were attracted to the 6 horse, Flags Up. First start for Robertina Diodoro, as well as the 4, Mac Daddy 2, making, well, no, I'm sorry, it was a voided claim last time for Norm Cassie.
Yeah, you know, Flags Up for Flying P Stable. You pointed this horse out to me as you're taking a look at the 9 Prisoner, who is your favorite 2 to 1. You know, horse got blinkers last time out on the class rise. And when you look at Robertina Diodoro, when he claims horses for 40, he usually drops, let's be honest. He tries to get the money or stays at that same spot. Blinkers and this horse jumped in class. Maybe that was the only spot. Now down for 50. He's going to have to probably launch, but that might be the recipe.
You know what? And I'm going to go with the long shot. I've got to go with my gut on this one. I like this horse from a physical perspective. He made a nice appearance going by. Jay Provenzano's a friend, Flying P Stable. And we're seeing a procession of long shots so far today.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the money on the 3. We're getting here, Radical Right for Peter Miller, another horse. He's had 3 horses in today. 2 of them have not run. And do we see this one running that are horses that have been running on turf in Southern California and dirt, and it's really hard to gauge?
it's hard to gauge, but they really aren't showing up yet. I mean, I think maybe it's a little bit of a learning curve as well. You know, Peter Miller wins wherever he goes, but this is a different kind of racetrack, different kind of meet.
Don't really love the price, Maggie, at 5-2 or 3-1 now. Mig, are you going to go with the 6 now?
I'm switching it up. I'm going with the 6 because I just was taken with how this horse looked in the post parade. Originally handicapping, we both looked at our notes together. We were like, we're both on the 9. But he's a short price, and short prices just haven't been coming through yet.
No, they haven't. We'll see if we'll get another long shot. I'm on the 9. He's on the 6, and the 11 is getting a ton of play. But the way the racetrack's been playing today, it might be the 1, 2, or 5 in here, Maggie.
All right, Paulie. Yeah, and the 1, 2, or 5 he was mentioning here, Sarah, the more confirmed closers that we'll see. But, I mean, Flags Up, he's one that's going to do his best running from off of it, and that's who Mig liked in the warm-ups. He did make a lovely impression. He looks good, this Son of Honor code.
Yeah, he's a horse that fits at this level. I mean, he certainly has plenty of races to go back to that would make him tough. And maybe he didn't really show up last time, but now he's been in the barn a little bit longer and dropped slightly. And I think that was a good point made, that this is not a barn that generally will raise them up in price tag because they like to win races and they kind of do claim several horses. So that was an interesting move, and now just getting a little bit of class relief going from the 62.50 down to the 50.
All right, and he certainly run races going back to last year, but the majority of them on a different surface. He does have that 182 going back to May 6th at Churchill. That would make him a player on the main track, and an 83 at Churchill too, going back to November of last year. Go ahead.
We see Bright Future was in that race.
Yeah, a horse that competed in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah. Not too much running that day.
No, he didn't. But number 7, Breslau, currently 5-1. Is this a matter of striking when the iron's hot, kind of maybe getting the confidence booster? Last time out for the 30, and goes right back in 2 weeks later for the 50.
I think that if that was kind of a one-off number, or sort of shown that he couldn't compete at a level like this in the past, then I'd be a little bit more hesitant. But this is a horse that certainly loves Oaklawn. He's 3 for 6 here, and he has plenty of races. If you go back to last season versus Tougher Company, that he was able to be successful, and he actually finished ahead of Mac Daddy too, if you go back to February of this year. So I think that he's shown that he can compete at the higher levels, and this is a barn. We saw them win the last race, and they've started off this meet with the hot hand. So I think that they realize what they have now, and now's the time.
Yeah, exactly. And then Top Gunner, is there any reason to be hesitant about this guy as he drops in class here?
Well, his last 2 races don't get him anything based on figures in here. They're just way too slow. But I think that with him, you have to hope that it's just a matter of the class that he's been facing, and that this will be a field that he finds to his liking. But as far as dropping him in for a tag, it's not as though this is the easiest spot that he could possibly be in. And the price reflects that, he has been facing Tougher Company, but he'll need to run races that we haven't seen in over a year.
Hoist the Gold, come back 2 starts later and win our Cigar Mile. Sibelius would win the Golden Shaheen in Dubai.
So he just won the other day too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
forgot about that. As they head into line, a really intriguing claiming 50 here on tap for race number 7 at Oaklawn. Matt Dinnerman has your call.
Lau has taken his spot in Top Gunner to the outside. Top Gunner and Julian Leperoux. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Ignitus gets the first call. He bounced into the bridle right away. In second, Radical Right is moving up to come and challenge him in the early stages. Ignitus, Radical Right with Breslau not far off, and nor is Prisoner. They're on the outside, 4 deep. As they sort themselves out, Breslau, a narrow lead for him, a half length in front of Prisoner's second, Radical Right third in the early stages. Top Gunner moves up to be in the 4th position with Chip Off the Old Block in the green jacket, easing off to run in 5th, 4 behind into the turn. Ignitus, who was prominent early, has dropped back to run in midfield with Mac Daddy 2. That pair is 4 lengths clear of League of Legends. Flags Up is at the back of the field as they round the far turn. Breslau being joined by Prisoner, and here's Top Gunner on the scene. Top Gunner in the 3-path, sticks the head in front. Prisoner has come under pressure, second. Down on the inside, Breslau tries to re-rally, is on the fence in second as Top Gunner kicks onto a length lead. Breslau fighting hard in the second spot. Here comes Mac Daddy 2 on the grandstand side rolling. Top Gunner, Mac Daddy 2 grandstand side charging fast, and Radical Right up the inside. Radical Right and Nick Juarez to get there. Radical Right, your victor. Breslau second. Top Gunner flattens out to third. And Mac Daddy 2 is fourth.
Well, the money was completely right in here, Mick. They bet down the 3 and the 11 and the 3. Radical Right. We've seen some horses on the crowd of the track win races with the last 2 races. Emmanuel Escobar up the rail, and now Nicky Juarez up the rail.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe I was rushing judgment, looking like horses were rallying or getting the best of it rallying from the outside, but not the case. This horse was married pretty much to the rail the whole way, came up the inside, nice ride by Nick Juarez, and Peter Miller gets off the mark here with a horse that lasts 4 out of 5 starts on the turf.
Yeah, the 7 horse really battled here, was trying to go most of the way. Breslau, Cipriano Contreras trying to complete a double. I think he does hold on for second. The 11, you know, it's got to be a positive sign. Top Gunner at least fired.
Yeah, horse ran today, but boy, Paul, looked like he had this field at his mercy at the 8th pole and then kind of flattened a bit late.
He did. He flattened a tiny bit. The 7 stayed in there. And even the 4, the horse that we thought looked well on the racetrack, made a little bit of a jump, but didn't get the job done. And Nicky Juarez, 10-1 on the morning line, Maggie, gets bet down to 4-1 and gets the job done.
That's right, Paulie, as it did seem like a fairly interesting morning line, to say the least, but Radical Right does go off at 4-1 and runs up the rail. Nick Juarez having a nice little meet so far as this guy and son of First Samurai returns to the dirt victorious.
You always know that this was a horse that just seemed live in this spot and was running on the grass, but had plenty of dirt races to go back to that would have made him competitive, and we were never going to get 10-1 on this one.
No, he's a graded stakes placed runner on the dirt. So if 4-1 almost, in hindsight, seems somewhat generous if you do a lot of digging through that form as we turn our attention to tomorrow on the Aqueduct card, the Gravesend. And Sarah, this does feel like somewhat of a rematch of the Fall Highway, as we do see the victor of that race in Bold Journey in here. He'll be searching for his 3rd win in a row for Bill Mott. But he just feels like a horse that's in form. But you also can't scoff at what Durante has been doing on the track as well. He's just so game with each and every race.
He is, absolutely. And he was battling with Win for Gold, able to win that battle, but not hold off Bold Journey. And I'm not really big on the weights as far as a couple of pounds making a big difference. But this was one of those true handicap races where we did see a significant enough difference in the weights that Bold Journey was carrying the least of the top 3.
Yes, and Durante carrying 134 this day, doing all the dirty work on the front end. He will likely flash his speed yet again. We also see a pretty cool 9-year-old in this field as well. Greeley and Ben making start number 43 possibly tomorrow, looking for his 26th win. And with, I think, a win or a placing, it'll get him to the $1 million mark.
Yeah, he's getting close for sure. I mean, this is a horse that we've seen plenty on this circuit in the past. Actually won the Fall Highweight Handicap last year, but I kind of wonder if his numbers as of late just don't quite stack up.
Nonetheless, a really cool horse and meeting a neat field that we're excited to see in tomorrow's Gravesend, as race number 7 back at Oaklawn is official. Radical Right getting the win for Peter Miller. And we do see Nick Juarez in the irons. And Nick riding a really nice race here. You know, he was sitting behind the pace early on, saw the opening on the rail, turning for home, and Radical Right was certainly bold to go left today.
Yeah, you like
that, don't you?
You're coming up with all the puns today, fresh off the layoff, and now you've got jokes.
I don't feel fresh, but here we are.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, look, the fact that Top Gunner couldn't didn't even get by Breslau. To me, that's not really a feather in his cap. I'm glad that he showed a little bit of life today with that drop in class, but this is not the kind of horse that he was last year.
Maybe the guys could fill us in and be interesting to see if he got claimed today.
Maybe they have the secrets over there.
They have a lot of secrets.
Maybe they can
over
find
there.
out who makes the morning line.
That's the biggest secret of all. Starter allowance coming up next in race number 8, going the 6 furlongs, and fairly wide open affair here as the shortest price right now on the outside from 10 to 1 morning line, 7 to 2 on the 11. Robb the Rich right now for Aaron Shorter coming in from Parks to try his hand at Oaklawn. But speaking of which, the Sella family has brought Oaklawn to the forefront in the racing world for many generations. More to come on the family after this break.
They're coming down for the finish, and it is Silver State.
$140,000. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Clayburn Farm.
For the last few years, thoroughbred racing has been taking vital steps to make our sports safer. These include the use of independent veterinarians who check every horse before every race, strict anti-doping and medication controls with severe punishments for violators, uniform safety standards for every track, and a single national authority empowered to create reforms and enforce new standards across the board. With each important measure, more data is gathered. Accountability is demanded. And while we've made progress, we are committed to doing more, so that at every track, in every race, safety takes the lead. Visit ntra.com/safety for more.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus buyer speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
First and foremost, it's a family operation. It's fun to be a 4th generation president of Oaklawn and to see how we've grown. We've been in the same location. We haven't had to move across the street. That's kind of neat. It is about racing at Oaklawn. We tell everyone, especially our new employees, it's racing first. My great-grandfather, Louis Sella, built it in 1904. Charles Sella took over after him. John Sella took over after him, and then we had another Charles Sella. My father take it over, and now we have Louis Sella. We like keeping the same names in the family. It helps with monogramming. I would sit in on meetings even at a young age. My father would take me and say, you know, be quiet and sit in the corner, and I'd do and just listen. And throughout my life, I've been involved with racing, and it's always been really a part of me until finally the time when it was time to move in and commit. You can look at our media guide, which is published online as well, and look at that history. It's remarkable. We've beaten Prohibition, and we've gone through a couple of world wars and Vietnam and depressions, recessions. Truly the reason we're successful is for the reasons I just said, that we've been able to evolve, we've been able to change with the times. Beyond that, it's racing first, and really the oldest family in racetrack management in the United States, and we're very proud of that, and we're proud of that legacy, and we think that racing is successful and exciting and has a great future if you believe in it and if you put your heart and soul in it. and you go forward with that mentality. We see that with our employees, we see that with our trainers, our horsemen, we see that with the horse owners that fly in from coast to coast because of the excitement that we have here at Oaklawn.
Well, as president and owner of Oaklawn Park, Louis Sella just said in that piece, they should be very proud of what they've been able to accomplish and for the success that they've had because they can evolve. And that evolution has included the casino that you're checking out there, the exquisite hotel. Whenever I go to Oaklawn, I feel like it's my second home, my home away from home, because it's so comfortable and just so accessible. It's a one-stop shop for everything at the track, and they really, truly, despite having all that accoutrement, racing is still the main course.
And to be able to balance both of those things with having those amenities for people coming to visit, as well as really keeping the focus on what matters most, the horses, and having the ability to walk from your hotel room all the way to the paddock without even having to go outside, it's pretty cool.
It really is. It makes commuting to work every day quite easy. And Mig, I know it was your first walk from the hotel to the casino to the track. How did it go? Were you able to go as fast as that B-roll just played?
Well, it was very convenient. The hotel is spectacular. It's really, really nice. Opened up my curtains, looked out this morning, watching horses train. It really, nothing better than that, Paul. And then I caught up with you right out in front of the sports book, and it's just a really comfortable, beautiful place. I think they've done a spectacular job with it. And, you know, just like Maggie and Sarah were just talking about, horses come first here. The sense of history here is second to none, really. I mean, you think about Saratoga, you think about Santa Anita. Oaklawn Park does it just as well.
They do. I know I'm here, and I know I've been here the last couple years. It's the best set up racing casino by far that I've been to. I've been to Woodbine, I've been to all, and I'm not throwing any shade on any of the other racetracks. They've done it right. And what Sarah said and what you just reiterated is so true. When you walk through the doors, the first thing you see is the paddock. And they want to remind you, horses do come first. You got the mainline sports bar, which is inside the track that we're showing you right now. You could play golf. You've seen me throw some golf, play some golf and throw some hatchets. But like Mick said, you can just go right around the corner and just go into the cozy little sports book. They got 3 restaurants in there, Mig. It's rocking and rolling in here. But like you said, all the fans are out here wanting to talk horse racing.
Yeah, no, and listen, everybody is just so friendly. I really was taken walking through. People stopping me. They love our show. They love all of us on there. Yeah. Paul, you're like a local legend here now. You're a mainstay, but I'm really enjoying myself. It's been a really good time. I got in late last night. I'm really looking forward to checking out some of the restaurants and enjoying myself. You
know what, Maggie? If I had to put it in a certain, it reminds me a lot of Wrigley Field. And the reason why I say Wrigley Field, it's just like right in the middle, and you can just walk across the street and have a beer. You can walk across and have some, some pizza. There's just so much to do around here, and it's just like right in the middle of everything, and everybody's so kind.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that stands out. Just how kind everybody is, and again, could not be nicer.
I could not agree with you guys more. I thoroughly enjoy each and every trip I get to take out there to Oaklawn. I will get the honor to do so at the end of the coming month for the Southwest Stakes, and as always, looking forward to it. I will say, though, that going in April is a little bit more comfortable because the weather really starts to turn at that point in Arkansas. As you can see, the guys are bundled up there today.
I saw that Richie got himself a coat.
Yeah,
maybe
he's
feeling the chill a little bit.
Yes, as he would have actually been A-OK in the paddock here at the Big A today. It was a beautiful day.
I know, it's rare that it's warmer here than it is there.
It truly is. Horses getting ready for today's 8th race at Oaklawn. We'll have more on this race to come, as currently a wide open board with Robb the Rich, your tepid favorite.
Number 1 is Mo Donegal by Uncle Mo. And they're off in the Remsen. as they come on for the finish, and it's going to be tight here in the Remsen. Mo Donegal. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal to win the Wood Memorial. And it will be Mo Donegal to win the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, and thanks for joining us here on this Friday afternoon on FS2. We had some racing from Aqueduct. We have racing from Oaklawn coming up, but now we'll check out Turfway as Scoot Along, one of my Game of Silks horses. Sarah breaks her maiden here in career start number 6, I believe. She was the favorite, but she earns a little money for my charity, the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation.
Yeah, and an effort where she kind of was wide and able to pass some of the pace setters, and not bad for a favorite to be 3-1 in here. She had to drop a little bit in class to get the victory, but you've had a couple of winners so far, right? Your Louisiana bred got some wins as well.
I can't remember her full name,
Just
but I just know
Grace.
her as Grace now. Yeah, I've had 3 winners, so that's very cool. And this one's a daughter of Ken Theros, and looking forward to maybe some other ones popping up soon. You've had one that runs around here, right?
Did he win Wallstib?
Oh, yeah, Wallstib.
He didn't win yet,
No,
did he?
he ran 2 seconds up in Saratoga, right?
Yes, I had one win at Colonial, actually. Ruddy Buddy, he actually runs at Tampa on Sunday, I
Oh,
believe.
exciting. We'll be watching on the edge of our seats as horses are on the track for today's 8th race. And this one is a starter allowance field going the 6 furlongs for the older colts and geldings. And we'll kick things off with number 1. That's Beer Chaser. Who needs a chaser for beer?
It's the wrong way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's run at Oaklawn in the past for only 1 win in 11 starts over the surface, getting a little bit of a class test here.
St. Andrews for Greg Compton.
A horse that is a second off of a little bit of a freshening, has already run at the meet, would need to take another step forward.
Deflator for owner-trainer Robert Klein.
Another one that is off a little bit of a freshening, second off, as he already has run once at the meet.
Hasn't run many, but Phil Sims has sent over some live horses. He'll send over Vulcan. Here's number 5, Jackman, coming off a big win.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a 90 Beyer speed figure for that effort and finished 3rd before that, so in very good form right now.
Joe Frazier. Will he go down today?
A winner 3 starts ago, which was April of this year at Oaklawn.
Here's number 7, Lake Radio, for start from Matt Shire. And number 8, Slam Dunk Sermon.
A horse that has some success at Oaklawn in the past, but the recent form not quite as good.
Keith Asmussen riding for Tom Vance as number 9, Matt Cron. Used to be in the Asmussen barn, but is now in the barn of John Horan, who's looking for another winner.
We have not seen this horse since December of last year, and this is a barn that is only 1 for, I believe it is 47 off 180-plus day layoffs.
There's the other Sims runner, Blue Kentucky.
A horse that got an 80 Buyer speed figure at Churchill Downs last time out now heads back to Oaklawn.
And looking for his 4th win in 5 starts, Robb the Rich, your current 4-1 favorite.
One of those was placed first through a disqualification, but absolutely right officially.
5 wins in a row. Yes. Got to read between the lines, maybe.
Consistent type that's in really good form right now.
And horses commencing their warm-ups with 3 minutes to post, and we'll check in with Paulie and Meg.
Thanks, Maggie. Thanks, Sarah. We're on to race number 8 here in another tough betting race here. You thought it was going to get a lot easier here. It's not. The betting favorite right now, I want to say, is 7-2 in the outside horse, the 11. And to be honest with you, the 2 years that I've been here now, I think I've only seen 1 horse ship in from Parks. This is a horse that was with Juan Carlos Guerrero at Parks. A lot of people don't remember Juan Carlos Guerrero. He actually trained Private Zone. What do you do with this outside horse?
It's a great question, and that's one of the big handicapping conundrums of Oaklawn Park is horses coming from so many different jurisdictions, and this is a new one for both of us. We were talking about it off camera.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those tough things. Parks is one of those places you kind of don't know. Even when they come up to New York, you don't know when they're going to run or not. Okay, let's get to some of the contenders that you like. I know you like the 5 in here, Jackman, a tiny bit, coming off a win at Remington Park, but this is a horse that is a solid horse. 17 for 34 in the exacta. We'll show you the replay of his last race. Elvin Gonzalez was aboard. He gets Christian Torres, and you're hoping you get this kind of trip or at least this kind of win.
Well, listen, he's going to be forward. He's a horse that does his best running when he's involved. Christian Torres knows that. Obviously, listen, really sloppy conditions last time at Remington, kind of running over the top of the ground. But I just thought he had a real look. Again, we've seen so much kind of chaos today, a lot of big prices, but I thought Jackman made a lot of sense on paper. My question to you, and I'm going to just, you know me, I come up with these things. You give Joe Frazier a puncher's chance?
I knew something was coming with smoking Joe Frazier. The 6 as you're taking a look at the 11. The 6 in here for Timothy Martin. Nicky Juarez looking for back-to-back W's. They took the blinkers off 3 starts ago. That was way back in April. The horse exploded. Now you're coming back with smoking Joe here. 7 for 26 lifetime. But then I look at the 11. And I always talk about the Ricky Bobby horse. The 11, Robb the Rich, at 10-1 on your screen. 4-1. Do you want to sign up for a horse coming in from Parks, or would you rather sign up for Joe Frazier at 5-1?
Listen, it's a good question. I kind of like the outside draw for Robb the Rich, Rafael Bejarano. And usually horses coming out of Parks have a certain fitness level. It's a pretty demanding kind of racetrack. Now, the last race was a pretty fast race. They ran 10-4. For the day, that's fast. We've seen more slowish times today than we have, in the past 5 or 6 days of the beginning of this meet. So I like the fact that this horse is coming out of Parks. I just think from a fitness level, it could give him a little bit of an advantage.
We'll say this, Maggie. Greg Compton came right to us on the set. Very, very good trainer. He trains the 2s here, St. Andrews. Obviously, a great golf course. He thought this horse had a big shot at 24-1. The way the horses that have been, or the prices have been coming in today, I would not leave the 2 off the ticket. He thought this horse could be coming late. Spen Benjamins, who beat him last time, did come from last, but he said the horse needed the last race.
Yeah, but I tell you what, though, his confidence level, and that was the first time I got to meet him, you introduced me to him, he really seemed to have a very quiet air confidence about him, and then he said, no, my horse is going to run good.
Yeah, I think the 2's going to fire here. I do think the 11, if the 11 runs to those Parks numbers, is the horse to beat.
All right, guys. Robb the Rich. He was a reclaim for Juan Carlos Guerrero, and they were co-owners with 10 Strike Racing, Randy Finnegan, and they went back in for him, now shipped out there. I'm assuming to take advantage of the lofty purses at Oaklawn for a horse that's in good form. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason not to necessarily like him here.
No, he makes some sense. I mean, he's just been ultra consistent as far as his last several races in different barns as well. I mean, even when he went to the Jamie Ness barn, he was running against some decent company and ended up being put up for first place, even though that was a slight regression in terms of that 87 that he came back with and then the 80 that he ran last time. So certainly a horse with very reliable form right now to go on. That's probably why you're seeing the price that you are.
You expressed some interest in number 7, Lake Radio, first off the claim for Matt Shire, who is pretty good with the horses that he takes over training.
I agree. I mean, this horse was inside speed at 2-1 last time out and finished second to Breslau, who we just saw come back for the $50,000 tag and finished second in there, stepping up in company. So you know that he was facing a live horse, having that result happen just before this. So I kind of wonder if he's being overlooked a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Frazier, he was the scene of his big race, 3 back. I was there for that, and my friend whose godfather is Joe Frazier named her son that had just been born Frazier. It was like my hunch bet of all hunch bets that I really should have had. Anyway, he's coming off a bit of a layoff. We'll see if he can get back to some of his better efforts there at Oaklawn as we do send it out to Matt Ditterman for the call of race 8.
Waiting for Vulcan to come up to the gate. Jackman has gone forward. Macron, the gray horse, takes his spot. Jackman in. Blue Kentucky's gone forward, and Robb the Rich to the outside. Here's Robb the Rich. Field of 11 to kick off the late pick 3. Robb the Rich in, and we're ready to go. And Leroff, good beginning from Vulcan, who fires out fast. Jackman's got early lick, too. These two hook up in the first furlong, putting 2 lengths on Lake Radio, who runs in third with Deflator. Robb the Rich is next. Joe Frazier in the red jacket, racing with Slam Dunk Sermon between horses. Now easing off the pair to race 7 or 8 behind the top 2, who are right together approaching the forward turn run. Macron is third last. St. Andrews at the back with Blue Kentucky. And actually, there's one way far out of it. Beer Chaser and another zip code as they round the forward turn. Vulcan inside, Jackman is outside, and there goes Jackman in the red, striding to a narrow lead. Vulcan trying to stick with him around that turn. There's still 2 clear of Lake Radio, sent along from third. Deflator is backpedaling down on the inside, 4 lengths behind. Robb the Rich swings to the extreme outside. Macron's getting into gear now, but still has 7 lengths to make up on Jackman, who approaches the furlong pole, putting away Vulcan, who's back in the second clearly. Jackman kicks to a length lead. Lake Radio trying to get up into second and trying to reel in Jackman, who is a 16th to go and a 2-length advantage. Lake Radio is charging hard. Jackman holding on. It's going to be Jackman to win it. Lake Radio was second, and third home in the race was Vulcan. Fourth, either Robb the Rich or Blue Kentucky.
Well, back to normalcy here as Jackman gets the job done. Good job. Good call here by my colleague here, Richard Migliori. And get off as your favorite here, Jackman. But this was actually a big run. This horse took pressure and just kept on going here. Made a good call.
Yeah, he was, fighting it out with Vulcan, put him away, and had enough left to hold off. The 7, Lake Radio, came with a resolute run down the outside with Ricardo Santana. And it feels like a little bit of order restored.
Yeah, right? I mean, a single-digit winner here seems a little bit normal. The 7 actually ran really giant in here with a nice little close on the outside. Lake Radio, like you were talking about. Matt Scherer is so heady off the claim. But the greatest showman on earth, Richard Migliori, Hugh Jackman, gets the job done here.
He was putting on a show today. Jackman looking the part on the track as well. And he gets the win for Carl Broberg. Christian Torres in the irons goes back-to-back with victories over a nice call by you, Sarah. Number 7, Lake Radio, first off the claim for Matt Shire.
Yeah, he showed up, but Jackman was so much the best, able to be a part of that early pace and put away the other horse that he was dueling with and have just enough to get the job done.
Jackman making his way back to the winner's circle as we will bring you official prices coming up after this break. But we'll also get to learn a little bit about that guy. He is the son of a Hall of Famer, Jose Santos Jr., though. He took a little bit of a different career path, and he has become one of the leading jockeys agents in the country.
Into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then collusion illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Here comes Gem Mint 10 and now Dylan Davis, and they get ready to swarm these leaders. Gem Mint 10 is in front. Gem Mint 10 wins the finale.
Welcome to Adelphi Racing Club's unparalleled partnership experience. Exclusive access to the backstretch at Belmont and Saratoga, premier accommodations on race day, and of course, experience excitement like no other. Contact us today to get a taste of the Adelphi difference.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to the program. It's America's Day at the Races, and we are proudly brought to you by Hillendale at Alapa, standing such greats as Curlin, Violence, and Good Magic. Race at number 8, Jackman powering his way through the lane, providing the early pace and fending off all late challenges to get the win here for Carl Broberg, as well as Christian Torres and Endzone Athletics.
It just showed that his last race was no fluke. He was able to get the job done at a short price that day and got a 90 buyer speed figure and comes and backs it right back up in here.
He did eventually go off as your favorite at 3-1, I believe. He gets the win over a nice price and selection by you in number 7, Lake Radio. Still awaiting those results, I'm being told, as you're checking out Jackman in the winner's circle. Flashy chestnut there. Lots of chrome on him. White stripe. White stocking as well.
Now that would be very flashy.
Where did I come up with blue?
Remember
I have no idea.
when they dyed Hanson's tail blue?
Yes. I don't know why that bothered me. I mean, it's, I guess, the owner's prerogative to be able to do that.
Well,
but
it wasn't because they made him wash it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the bluegrass.
Yeah. They did. He did run in a race with it, though.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like kind of greenish because they tried to wash it out and it didn't work.
Oh my God. Anyway, optional allowance coming up next. Going a mile. We do see a defection of number 1 long shot, a player in Camp David. More on this race to come. But as we talked about before the break, Jose Santos Jr., one would think, with a Hall of Fame rider as your father, several uncles riding, that maybe you take that career path. But Jose knew from a young age that there might be physical limitations. So he set his sights on becoming the best jocks agent around. At 16, he took out his license. He still went to school, but the track was always calling. And now, with 9 riders across the country, Jose Santos Inc. has become a pioneer in the world of jockeys agents.
I swore my whole life growing up that's what I was going to be, a jockey. Everyone around me's ever been a jockey, and I was always the smallest kid in my class. And then around 8th or 9th grade, I started shooting up, and it was pretty clear I wasn't going to be a jockey. And my dad actually was an agent at the time. He really didn't understand how to do the condition book aspect, but he knew the people. So I started learning how to read the condition book, and I would take notes, and I would give him the notes and say, you know, you should ask this guy about this race. And that's kind of where I got my first interest in it. When I was 16, I became an agent back home at Calder.
Jose Santos Jr. not only grew up with the game, he experienced firsthand the thrill of winning the Kentucky Derby as an 8-year-old when his father, Jose Santos, rode Funny Side to victory.
That was unbelievable. It's such a crazy thing. When he got on him for the first time, it was 2 weeks out from his first race that he ever was going to run. And he worked him, and he called me right when he got off of him and said, I just found the winner of the Kentucky Derby. As a 2-year-old, New York bred, never raced before. And I was like, awesome, you know? So then he told me the name, and I watched him run. We were excited from day one. An unbelievable experience. Yeah, I'll never forget it, that's for sure. Now I want to win my own. What agents, I think what we're supposed to do is handicap what the race is going to be, who's going to ride what in what race, see where you can fit in, and then also what's the racing secretary going to use. And I base that off knowing what horses are going to be in the races, so you know, okay, this race will fill, this race might not, this one they might want to push back for a later date because it's got a chance to pick up more horses. So I kind of got to handicap what the office is going to do as well as, you know, what's going to happen in the race. It stays color coordinated. This is just the horses that I believe are going to be in this race. Horses I've ridden or had calls on before, so I can denote that, okay, I need to check on this horse first. If that's not going to happen, then I'll move on to one of these. And, you know, after we've drawn a race, it kind of goes a little crazier. So this was opening day of the meet, and, you know, just try to keep up with that. And when races don't go, I move them over into the next race that I think they're going to be in, and just kind of go from there. We got a shot in this race. You know, always been a competitor, and this is so much fun. There's no other way to put it. It makes me feel so involved, and it doesn't feel like work at all. On a normal day, I'll be involved in 20 plus races, you know, which is really fun. I mean, just constant action. You know, get to do my favorite thing, watch horse racing.
You know, Sarah, it's almost unheard of what Jose does, because usually you think of, well, jockeys' agents are only, you know, technically allowed across many jurisdictions to only have 2 riders. So they just stick to, well, 2 riders. Well, he thought outside the box and said, well, I can have 2 riders in many jurisdictions. And that's what we see here as he represents Julien Leparoux, as well as Manny Escobar at Oaklawn. He has Adam Beschizza and Raylu Gutierrez down at the fairgrounds with many other riders at other tracks, filling the void as well.
And you can tell that he's thinking ahead just in the whole process of how he will go through the races and sort of handicap even to the point of who's going to be in those races. So obviously he's trying to get as much of an edge as he can about spotting his riders appropriately and having as much success as possible.
As we bring in Paulie and Meg, I have one question for you. Would you have had Jose have your book?
I love Jose Santos Jr. I've known him since he was a baby. I think it's great what he's doing. No, he couldn't work for me. I want more individual attention, if you will. And anybody knows, Paul, I was hard on agents anyway.
I kind of get it, you know. Being in the professional world, I don't know if I would have been able to have a couple agents. You know, you have an agent that handles your memorabilia part, and then you have your agent that cuts some of your contracts out. When I was playing professionally, but yeah, but the way I think Jose's handled it, he's handled it very well, where he's given each guy a piece of the pie. He hasn't really favored one guy over the other, and I think that's why it's succeeded so far.
Well, and he's super sharp. I mean, the fact that he can keep track, and he's got riders in several different jurisdictions, and I think that's the loophole there, right? You're allowed 2 riders, but in different places. So now, you know, if he's got 2 here and 2 in another place there, he's got a whole lineup of riders, and he does a tremendous job for them. So you can't knock it. I'm very proud of him. I think it's fantastic that he's able to juggle all that. Listen, I tried being an agent. It wasn't for me. I just wasn't very good at it. I didn't like that feeling of kind of going hat in hand to people. And also, honestly, I was hard on my riders. I had a work ethic that was probably second to none when I rode. And if a guy, you know, kind of pinned his ears a little about going to work a horse or something, like, that's what we do, man.
Yeah.
You know,
the one thing that I will give him kudos for, to handle that many guys and to get that many mounts with that many different trainers, he's doing something right when he's getting on the telephone and he's calling these trainers and these owners to get his jockeys on horses. So that aspect of it, you got to give him complete 100% props for.
Absolutely. He's sharp, he's on the ball, and he's doing a great job for all of his riders.
No, and I was talking to Julian LePeroux a little bit earlier, Maggie. He couldn't be happy. He's happy as a clam with him. He says he calls him all the time. And the other thing about it, too, he's really active on social media. That's what Julian said. He says, most of the time, anytime I get interviewed, I see it on X or I see it on Instagram. So Jose's keeping up with his jockeys as well on social media.
He's so multi-talented with everything that he's done, and he's really kind of revolutionized the business of being a jockey's agent.
Absolutely, and social media is something that I think is so important for continuing to grow that business and just getting that engagement and putting yourself out there of like, hey, my guys are winning. Maybe you want to ride them as well.
Well, one of his jocks, Julian LePeroux, will be aboard number 9, Creative Minister, looking the part in the paddock, a horse that once upon a time was on the Triple Crown Trail. More on him coming up after the break.
Catholic boy standing at Clayburn Farm.
During Leo McLaughlin's 22-year run as mayor of Hot Springs, starting in 1926, the city became a haven for notorious criminals and gangsters, most notably Al Capone.
A lot of people aren't aware of the fact that in 1931, Las Vegas, Nevada had 5,000 people in it and no high-rise hotels. Everyone was there to build the Boulder Dam, which became the Hoover Dam. At the same time, in 1931, Hot Springs had 20,500 people in it, 22 high-rise hotels, and $100 million in gambling income. The only difference was here in Arkansas, it was illegal, but it was okay.
During the spring, tourists could find themselves rubbing elbows with gangsters and Major League Baseball players.
Everyone year-round could enjoy the hot mineral baths, hunting and fishing and gambling. But in the spring, it was the opening of the live thoroughbred race meet at Oaklawn Park. And man, was it a happening place.
America's Day at the Races rolls on here on FS2 as we got to learn a little bit of the history about Hot Springs, well known for its horses and track, baseball, as well as gangsters.
Did you run into any when you visit?
No, thankfully I didn't. They were all basically just relics I saw at the Gangster Museum in downtown Hot Springs, which is pretty cool. I recommend it for everyone to check out. Horses, though, making their way from the paddock to the track here for the featured allowance race, going the mile, and on the outside, Heroic Move at 8-5, as well as Creative Minister taking the bulk of the play.
Just horses that make a lot of sense in this spot, and what's a pretty competitive group. A lot of horses showing some promise, but not necessarily winning types.
As we do see Heroic Move coming out of the Zia Park Derby, where he finished second. Robertino Diodoro send him out with Christian Torres aboard. Looking for back-to-back winners is Christian. And you know it's cold when that apron isn't that crowded.
I knew when Richie went to go put on a jacket.
Yeah.
Instead of toughing it out there in the cold.
Yeah. See several riders with face masks on and everything.
You were there that really windy day when Clarier won.
Oh my gosh,
right?
It was like a weird tornado. This storm, it didn't really rain, but the wind blew up, and I remember like having so much dirt in my eyes I couldn't see. I was like trying to interview
riders
Steve like this. Yeah. Anyway. But yes, the weather can be temperamental, to say the least, out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you been?
No, I haven't.
Gotta get you out there as well.
Yeah, speak to someone.
What is the #1 racetrack that you would like to visit that you haven't yet? Worldwide.
Boy, worldwide. That's in the U.S. probably Santa Anita. Worldwide, I'd love to check out somewhere Hong Kong, Japan.
Yeah,
Australia.
I'd love to check out Hong Kong or Australia.
Yeah.
As we filled right on top of the thing. Tapsational will kick off the post parade.
A horse that's really run pretty well on all three surfaces. He hasn't been on the dirt in quite some time, but he's certainly handled it in the past.
Tahoe Runs kept some good company, but hasn't run that well.
No, he'll have to improve quite a bit, but as you mentioned, facing some good horses, especially last time out.
Nick Juarez will look for another winner with Long Shot Cyclone on the card.
I do like him going a little bit further, as he did win at a mile 2 starts ago, but I think that he's facing a tougher field than he has in his past couple of races.
I feel like I did a segment once upon a time that was called Backside Buzz. Well, here's the horse.
All the secrets of the racetrack?
I did. I did one on Jenna Antonucci.
Oh, cool.
Here's #6, Manta Ray for John Herron.
A horse that would have to run a race that we haven't necessarily seen yet, but I will say his last 3 have been quite a bit better than his overall form in the past.
Greener Pastures, first off the claim for Robertino Diodoro.
He got a nice Beyer speed figure last time out at Churchill, earning an 80 for that effort, and he seems to be that type on the dirt, mid-80s.
Uninvited guest for Chris Hartman at a big price.
Ran into Command Performance last time out at Churchill Downs. It was no match for him that day. Would need to find a race in the past that he was with Mike Maker for.
Coming out of that same race is #9, Creative Minister.
A horse that once upon a time did finish a 3rd in the Preakness. He hasn't won in quite some time, only 2 wins overall.
Long shot at 41-1. Chapel Barn went by. Here's #11, Winter's Lion. We're familiar with him.
Yeah, we saw him have some success at a big price 3 starts ago here in kind of that blanket finish race, and then ran pretty well in the Discovery.
And at 9-5, your favorite, #12, Heroic Move.
Do you feel like he has so much of an edge on others in this field that he should be this short of a price, especially all the way towards the outside?
Goodness, no. But, I mean, I suppose people are viewing him as the upside horse. You know, the 3-year-old or late 3-year-old now that does seem to be in good company. And last time I just thought the winner kind of got the jump on him and what developed as a slower pace.
Yeah, I'd agree. A good race last time out. I just don't necessarily see him as being a solid 9-5 favorite, especially in this deep field.
Yeah, it feels like he is a bit of an underlay, but we will get over to the guys standing by trackside.
Yeah, and Heroic Move is the horse that's actually getting bet in the will pays, too. The lowest will pays in the pick 3. And it is the horse for Robertino Diodoro. A lot of people who don't know Robertino, his roots started in Canada, and this is a horse he brought up for the Canadian Derby at Century Mile. This horse ran at Zia Park last time. Some people will put into maybe the altitude angle coming from Zia in New Mexico to here, but Heroic Move seems like, you know, he fires a good shot wherever he races at least.
I mean, how do you feel about that post position, though, with this kind of a short run of the first turn here?
Yeah, that's the key, Mig. I mean, you know, when you get the outside post, sometimes you're kind of dead in some racetracks. Here, I think the crown of the track, especially with Christian Torres, and I think the interesting part is when this horse shipped to Zia, Christian rode the horse, went to Zia to ride the horse.
Well, I think he's very smart. He understands that Robertino Diodoro is where his bread is buttered, right? He's a guy that's kind of, to me, is the guy that helped really launch his career.
Yeah. Okay, now, the big gray on the screen. I mean, like Sarah said, this horse ran in the Preakness. He's been battling. I mean, you can go on and on. Listen, First Mission just got hurt, and hopefully he'll be able to live a nice little life after racing. But you look at some of his races. War Campaign, won here. Smile Happy, jogged here. I mean, he's run against some monster horses, but is he just run to his competition, Mig, or is it another case here?
Well, you know, listen, I always question when you see a horse start to accumulate more seconds than wins, right? So he's got 2 wins, 4 seconds. He has run against much tougher, though, than maybe what he's facing today. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he's such a kind of a distant second choice. I mean, 6-5 on the outside runner.
I thought he would be the favorite till I looked at the will pays. When you look at the will pays of the pick 3s, the 12 is buried in the pick 3s, so Heroic Move is getting a ton of action. And, you know, I thought the 9 would be your favorite in here when it comes post time, but it looks like the 12 is going to hold, you know, sway here. Now, the 7 is getting some money, and so is the 11. Now, the 11, Winter's Lion for Joe Sharp, the girls were talking about, caused a giant upset at Aqueduct. Were you on site that day, 35-1?
Yeah, actually, I was there that day. And
the horse was game in the lane that day.
And he came from out of the clouds.
Yeah,
he was in another area code. He was in Howard Beach, and everybody else was in South Ozone Park, and he made that run with Kendrick Carmouche. I thought the other Robertino Diodoro was a little bit interesting here, the 7 Greener Pastures. I thought, you know, first time off the claim for him, horse that's going to be forward. I thought he was kind of interesting.
I'm kind of with you. The 7's got some sneaky numbers. The only worry would be the kind of a little bit of a layoff. I thought the 7 was a little sneaky. And when it comes to the 11, Winter's Lion, I wouldn't put any credence that he was putting this horse back on Turf Mag in Sarah, because I was there basically at Churchill Downs. Churchill Downs had canceled all their turf races, and they were putting those races on the dirt. So I think the horse just threw in a little bit of a clunker. The 11 may be able to turn him around at 6-1. I just cannot take the 9 or the 12. I can't take the 9 at 8-5. I mean, the 12 at 3-2. Can you take that?
Not from that post. I just think, you know, listen, yeah, he's got the right rider, knows where on Oaklawn. He's really running the risk of just getting that wide to nowhere kind of trip that it just doesn't pay off. And I'm a great believer in saving ground. I think that if you lose ground on the first turn, you've got to fight the inside, save as much ground on the second turn. And, you know, flip side of that, if you get to save ground on the first turn, then if you got to give up a little ground to have an uninterrupted run, then you can do that on the second turn. I'm going with the 7, Greener Pastures. I'm looking at 9-1 for some Greener Pastures.
Okay, you're going there. You know what? I'm going to change from the 9 Creative Minister because I just can't take this horse at 9-5. I'm going to go with the 11 Winter's Lion on maybe a little bit of a comeback trail. Getting Lasix back on. I think that might be the help for the 11 here. We're going to try to beat the 2 favorites.
Well, you must have read Sarah's mind because she said, I feel like there's going to be an upset in here, guys, as you all were talking. But let's talk about the horse that Paulie's going to convert to, and that's number 11, Winter's Lion. This is his start 3 back here at the Big A, isn't it? Yes, this is his Discovery. Sorry, this is second, so 2 back. I was like, Racy 1 had a much bigger field. But he ran well in both of his efforts here, Sarah. So what do you make of him in this spot? Is he, I don't know.
He has a chance. I mean, he's 1 for 1 at Oaklawn. He broke his maiden here quite some time ago. You kind of wonder, I guess he's a fair enough price based on what we're seeing with the action on the 2 favorites at 6-1, but his top is an 86, and he was able to back both of those up going back-to-back here in New York. I just don't know. I feel like he's kind of a horse that needs a trip to work out from him, one that is going to be coming from off the pace. And I remember that I had just said, there's going to be an upset, I feel. I don't know who it is. You know, I think the 2 might be a little bit interesting, getting back to the dirt, because if you go all the way back to his second to last dirt race, he was running 3rd behind Clapton. Before that, he won, and Clapton's turned out to be a pretty nice horse. So when he was on this surface, he was keeping some good company, and he's ultra consistent.
Yeah, and it almost feels like his 2 races for Norm McKnight have been good enough on a surface that he can run on, but maybe ultimately he is better on the dirt. We'll find out here as Matt Dinnerman brings you the call of the featured 9th from Oaklawn Park.
Heroic Move it. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Heroic Move on the 4 outside, put into play early, but Greener Pastures is quickest. Greener Pastures to the lead. Tapsational takes the 2nd spot. Uninvited Guest 2 deep on the course. 3 deep is Chapel Barn, and Heroic Move is off that trio, getting towards the rails in about the 3 path now after breaking from that outside post, joining Tahoe Run and Cyclone. Next is Winner's Lion, the gray horse, off his heels. Backside Buzz it a little bit tight, easing off the pace here, and he's running about 8 lengths behind in the pink cap. Creative Minister at the back of the pack as they make their way up the backstretch. Manta Ray's with him. So they're down the backside. Greener Pastures is the pacemaker here. A half length in front. Uninvited Guest running in the 2nd position. Then Chapel Barn, Tapsational. They're side by side. They're a length and a half better than another 2. Cyclone and Tahoe Run to his outside. Heroic Move next with Winner's Lion. Creative Minister still 3rd last. Is 8 behind, needs to get going. And then backside Buzz at the back. Manta Ray still with him. This race will end at the 16th pole. Remember that. They round the 4th turn. Greener Pastures, the leader by a neck still. Uninvited Guest turning up the heat as they round that turn. Tapsational goes pretty well. Right behind those leaders is Searching for Racing Room approaching the top of the lane. And then comes Tahoe Run as they come to the top of the lane. Heroic Move is going to swing to the extreme outside. Winner's Lion trying to follow him down the lane. Uninvited Guest joining Greener Pastures. Uninvited Guest grabs the lead. Tahoe Run has run a very game race today. Tapsational back and forth. Approaching the line, it's Uninvited Guest and Chris Landeros. Uninvited Guest to score. Tahoe Run was 2nd. Greener Pastures 3rd. Tapsational checks in 4th. Another winner here at a big price. Uninvited Guest, 32-1. He's the 3rd longest shot in the race.
Well, Matt Dinnerman just took out my line. Thanks, Matt. 32-1 again in a 21-1 shot. I mean, it's just been bombs away. We thought we were going to get normalcy in the last race, Meg, with you, Jackman. And then we pop with Uninvited Guest with Chris Landeros and Chris Hartman.
Well, we went for trying to beat the favorites, and we went for horses that were a bit of a price.
Sarah was right. Something was going to blow up. Sarah was dead right.
But we didn't go deep enough. We didn't go.
Wow.
But listen, Chris Hartman, a guy who consistently wins at a high percentage. Chris Landeros, spending his first full winter here at Oaklawn, has gotten off to a tremendous start. And one thing Chris Landeros has always done well is finish. He is a very strong finishing rider.
No, he is, and he really has gotten off to a good start. He had a bad spill in opening weekend. He got up. Everybody was okay, horses and riders, and he's gotten off to a really good start. And you're right. And by the way, if you have this trifecta, it's 8-3-7-2, 32-1, over 21-1, over 8-1, over 28-1. Sarah, get out that crystal ball.
As she said, we had the right idea, just the wrong long shot. But your long shot finished 4th in here. Meg's other, Diodoro, finishing 3rd. But, yeah, number 8 getting the win with Chris Landeros aboard Uninvited Guest. And in the post break when we were talking about it, it just felt like way too big of a price for a Chris Hartman horse.
one that he hasn't had in the barn all that long, and they paid a decent amount to take him from Mike Maker. I mean, they claimed him for $62.50, and you can maybe excuse that he didn't show up that much in the last race, and he was facing a good field in there, able to get a nice win in here.
Let's go back to Paulie with winning conditioner.
Yeah, with Chris Hartman here, the winning trainer of Uninvited Guests. We go way back to Turf Paradise, Chris. By the way, Chris Landeros gives this horse a good ride.
He did, another Turf Paradise guy.
What'd you see when you claimed this horse?
We needed a horse, and he was in there. We give 62 was, I thought, a little bit much for him, but looks like it paid off today.
Well, you got the first half of the double. You got a live horse in the last race, too. Is that horse going to be tough?
Boy, I sure hope so. I need him real bad for the double.
We know that Chris likes the fire. Uninvited Guest gets the job done with Chris Landeros.
Ah, a man who puts his money where his mouth is. I like it. As Chris Hartman saying that he is going to need that double for more reasons than one as he sends out morning line favorite Red River Magic in the finale. But it was all about number 8, Uninvited Guest, in the feature, getting the win as America's horse, Smarty Jones, is honored coming up in a few days out there at Oaklawn Park. Saw some great performances from him on his way to winning the Run for the Roses.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
The sun shines bright on this value sire.
Fair down 25, fair down 25, fair down. Thank you. Right here, 525,000.
Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
We watched his career. You know, the speed he had was tremendous. So we bought 2 or 3, underbidder on several. Really nice volatile colt in his last sale that I think maybe 600,000. Beautiful colt.
Tom, $600,000. Thank you very much and good luck.
Perfect sire for 2-year-old sales, and so we'll be bidding against some of our peers, no doubt. So we're looking forward to it. We like a little competition. You know, it's fun.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Welcome back to the program. America's Day at the Races rolls on with you here, and we are brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, check out americasbestracing.net today. Race number 9. It went to yet another long shot, Sarah. Seems to be the theme on the show today as Uninvited Guest springs that upset at odds over 20-1.
He has some races to go back to that are big numbers, capable of running 88 buyer speed figures in the past. And one that can sit a variety of trips as well was up close today, and we saw a lot of the favorites just really not show up whatsoever. All long shots in that superfecta.
Yeah, at all. They didn't make a dent whatsoever as Uninvited Guest. Sorry, he was 32-1. So he returned 67.80 over Tahoe Run at 21-1, Greener Pastures 8-1, and Taxational 28-1. Another monster exacta of over $457. $10 for $1. Race number 9 to close things out, 6-5 on Red River Magic, as he will look to give Chris Hartman the late double here. And he's coming off a big win in an off-the-turf maiden special weight event for this allowance, first level allowance, for the fillies and mares going the mile and the 16th. But as we talked about before the break, Oaklawn is looking to have a big weekend. They have a couple stakes for the, well, last day to be 2-year-olds coming up Saturday, the Poinsettia, and then Sunday with those 2-year-old races, the Year's End and the Renaissance, and then the newly turned 3-year-olds in the Smarty Jones coming up, which did draw today. We'll have more on that field in a moment, but Smarty Jones, I don't know how old you were when he was running, but I mean, this was the horse that just captured everybody's hearts, because he was that blue-collar horse, came from Parks, Pennsylvania bred, that, you know, it just kind of brought the whole country along for the ride.
A Rebel winner as well, one of my favorite races. That is at Oaklawn Park. He actually won 3 races at Oaklawn before heading to the Triple Crown Trail, and that race call in the Belmont Stakes where he ended up finishing second. I mean,
it was heartbreaking from Tom Durkin, Stuart Elliott in the irons for those races. Yeah, trained by John Service as well. So it's nice to have a race named after him, as they will do just that coming up on Monday. He won the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Arkansas Derby, as well as a bunch of other races at Oaklawn Park. So rightfully so, having a race named after him at the Hot Springs fixture. And it is your ABR Race of the Week, as we have an interesting field assembled here, Sarah. 3 from Brad Cox, who's looking to go back-to-back in this race, winning it last year with Victory Formation, a horse we're familiar with, and Just Steel. He'll stretch back out in distance, though his better efforts coming at the sprint, including the Eddie Brown last time out at Churchill. As I said, the 3 for Brad Cox, including Catching Freedom, Gettysburg Address, and who else? Fidget, who I'm not that familiar with.
Seems like a pretty evenly matched field. I mean, you have Just Steel, I guess, topping this with his last win, but as you mentioned, that was over a sprint distance, and while he was facing some pretty good horses when he stretched out at Keeneland, you kind of have to wonder if he's able to actually get that added ground, since he hasn't yet.
Right, and a question mark too for the other horse who has the fastest buyer in the field, and Mystic Dan. That came out of sprint distance, was disappointing as the favorite when trying to stretch out at Churchill in that Future Stars evening that they have out there.
Yeah, I guess the horse with the most consistency and going further would be Informed Patriot for Steve Asmussen. So I think that he's one that seems like the horse you can rely on the most, as having proven that he at least can get pieces of the distance. We'll see if he can take another step forward.
Steve also sending out Laganos as well, a winner on the turf and also off the turf last time out. That road to the Kentucky Derby kicks off Monday with the Smarty Jones, and then on the 27th it will be the Southwest, February 24th the Rebel, and March 30th the Arkansas Derby. I feel like everything's happening earlier this year.
It is, isn't it?
Easter
because the Derby's
is
earlier?
31st, yes. And it's a leap year.
Oh.
So I don't know why that has anything to do with anything, but
a fun fact.
Monday, and 10 points will be on the line to the winner. Always, at least, you know, get your foot in the door when it comes to those Derby points.
Yeah. Are you big on the New Year's resolutions?
Nope. Are you?
No.
No. I break them as soon as I make them. Horses in the paddock. You're having a look there at your favorite Red River Magic. Can he go back-to-back for the Hartman Barn?
All right, everybody, welcome to Clayburn Farm. Clayburn Farm has been around since 1910. The tour is a backstage look at how we operate as a large-scale breeding farm. These are parts of the farm that have always been off limits to the public. You know, you would only see these barns and these horses up close if you worked out here. So it's been really exciting to open that to the public, to show that end of the industry and just spread that knowledge. You know, you take a group out, they get to scratch on a mare and foal, they think it's super cool, and hopefully create a lifelong fan. So our stallions stand from anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. That is a stand and nurse guarantee. So that fee is not paid until the next year after the mare has had her baby, the foal stands, and everything is good. We have conceived 22 Kentucky Derby winners, 19 Preakness winners, 22 Belmont winners, and 29 Breeders' Cup winners. In addition to that, 6 of the 13 Triple Crown winners have been conceived in our breeding shed. So I'm always excited to, you know, spread the knowledge that I've had, share this passion for the breeding industry that I've had basically my entire life, and just spread the wealth. Basically, all of our tours are sold out. That's just absolutely fantastic. Sometimes we'll try to sneak in 1 or 2 extra people onto the trolley. It's a yearling colt field. Actually, this field is home of 2013 Kentucky Derby winner Orb, as well as Breeders' Cup Classic winner Flame. The cemetery is extremely popular. It's on both types of tours that we offer, so the trolley tour and the walking tour. People travel from all over the world to see Secretariat's grave. So it's really exciting to see people's reaction to seeing that. Secretariat, the 1973 Triple Crown winner. I just want to thank everybody for coming on this tour. This is a tour that we've been really excited about. We're really excited to open up this side of the operation to the public. I think Clayburn is just absolutely iconic when it comes to horse racing. I don't think you can think of horse racing without thinking of Secretariat and Clayburn Farm.
Welcome back to the program, brought to you by Clayburn Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well, as we have live racing coming your way. Actually, just one more live race here on this Friday evening program. It's race number 10 from Oaklawn Park. Allowance for the fillies and mares, mile and a 16th, kicking things off with number 1, CC Harbor.
A winner 2 starts ago, which was at Oaklawn earlier this year, so you can tell that they aim for this meet.
Make Me Believe from McLean Robertson.
Shipping in from Delaware, would need to get a little bit faster based on the recent races.
Galeb's Ranger is stretching back out in distance, though hasn't done it much.
Did win 2 starts ago at a mile, though, so maybe this is what this one wants to do.
There's your favorite, Red River Magic.
Won an off-the-turf race last time at Churchill Downs, and hopefully Chris Hartman can get his double cashed.
Alsana, big price at 33-1.
Already a run at the meet in a 6-furlong race, and now stretching back out in distance.
Windy Bay will come in off of a bit of a freshening, bit of pace, too.
And it ran last time out at Keeneland for the $40,000 tag.
I know this horse. We used to call her Pizza.
Pizza?
Yeah,
have to hear
Sicilian
more about where
grandma.
Oh, okay. There we go. Obvious.
Come on, Pizza! Anyway, number 8, HT Xena, another one we're kind of familiar with on the Naira circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. And 3rd off a layoff as well. Has some races that would absolutely make this one tough.
Jubella. I nearly thought she was by Juba. Queen Gray and Jubella.
That would be something.
And number 10, your second choice, Let's Duet.
It has been running in some decent fields overall. Got an 82 buyer speed figure last time out.
Midnight Candy Storm.
Kind of stepping up in class a little bit and has faced some of these. Windy Bay was able to defeat her last time out.
Brittle and You for Michael Ewing.
A horse that would need to step it up a little bit based on the recent races, has tried all 3 surfaces as well.
And that is a big field to cap things off here at Oaklawn as we get it back out to the guys standing by trackside for more on this big field. Guys, are we going to see another upset?
Wow. Well, I mean, the way things are going now, if you're alive in any of these multis, I did not look at the pick 5 wheel pays or pick 4 wheel pays. They got to be enormous. And we get to the last race. And per that interview, it looks like Mr. Hartman needs Red River Magic for a lot of money. It's a $78 double. Chris has been known to fire a little bit. I think he's probably alive for some figures here.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like he was pretty much all in. Listen, this horse makes a lot of sense, obviously, on paper, but we've seen maybe what we can call some illogical results.
No, true. And the other favorite in here, again, for Kenny McPeak, you know, Creative Minister was obviously disappointing in the last race, but another horse that's going to be launching from way, way out of it is the 10, Let's Do It. I know the horse is very good on numbers, does have a win here, but do you want to take that horse at 5-2, or is 9-5 a better proposition, or are we trying to get out here?
Well, if we're going to try to get out, I'm going with a complete hunch. You ready for my hunch?
Okay.
The 7, Sicilian Grandma.
Oh, we both got Sicilian Grandmas.
Come on, Sicilian Grandma, my wife Carmela, Sicilian, Isabella, our granddaughter. I'm all over
The crazy part is, God rest her soul, my grandmother's name was Carmelo. I mean, this could be good. Oh, Sicilian Grandma. Cipriano Contreras. He's got a win, and he only lost by a W. You know what? Drop the cannolis. We're going to DeLucas tonight, Maggie, because you know why? Sicilian Grandma is going to win this race in the last, and then we're going to go have a Sicilian pie at DeLucas.
I'm in.
Oh, man, guys, you're rubbing it in on me here. I would love to have a grandma pie. Those are my favorites. What is your favorite slice at DeLucas, guys?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. Here's the thing about DeLucas that a lot of people don't know about that, but you know, Maggie, tremendous burger. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Unbelievable burger that they only serve with cheese, but the pizza there is phenomenal. But Mig went there last night, and they ran out of dough.
They were out of dough. I went there, so now I'm going to get the dough with Sicilian Grandma, get there early to get the dough for the pizza. I'm all in. Now, the last time I rode here, I rode for Bill Spar, Bordenero. DeLucas wasn't around, but then I got to go with Michael Canali, enjoyed it very much. They ran out of dough. How does that happen?
No comment.
And no special treatment for you, Mr. Migliore. You got to call ahead and reserve that dough. I've learned myself.
Hey, see there, Maggie knows this now. Okay, a lot of people don't know if you're going to come to DeLucas, you do not get a reservation. You order the dough. Maggie is right. You got to order the pizza. Doesn't get you to the reservation.
And it's great,
very
by
unique.
the way. It's a tremendous place.
It is.
And you know, for me, grew up in Brooklyn, New York, pizza capital of the world as far as I'm concerned. DeLucas is as good as it gets.
Yeah, it is, because they only got a certain amount of dough every day, so you have to order the dough. Maggie, very sharp by you.
And Anthony, the owner, making that dough himself. You'll often find him in the kitchen as well as head of house, because he is very, he's a very entertaining guy, Sarah.
I feel like you have to be to own a restaurant, you know?
Yeah, some people aren't, but he is above and beyond. He really is. So I can't wait to get out there. He always comes for a visit up to see us all in Saratoga. So can't wait to get back out there as our horses are circling. Sarah, I want to get your thoughts here on this race. The guy is going with a little bit of a hunch play with Sicilian Grandma, whom I'm actually surprised has really kind of found a new life since being stretched out in distance on the dirt, going around of ground. She's 3 for 3.
Yeah, I mean, just a horse that I guess is a little bit cold on the board in some respects. They're just betting this Chris Hartman horse who is facing winners for the first time in here. And we've seen so many big prices get the job done today that another slight upset or possibly a big one wouldn't be surprising whatsoever. I guess that she's the class that she's been facing may be a little bit suspect compared to this group, but it's not as though she doesn't have numbers that would make her very tough in here. I mean, even that off the turf race in Saratoga, that was a 74 buyer, and while it maybe sticks out, she's kept some okay company in the past.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And two, you know, she's a 3-year-old, and while that's kind of the same case with number 4, Red River Magic, sometimes it just takes a while for these horses to develop, mature, and ultimately get faster. And I feel like that's what we might be seeing here with Sicilian Grandma as well. As we'll go back to that other 3-year-old in Red River Magic. This is her blowout performance and breaking her maiden at even money last time out by 11 lengths.
Does it bother you a little bit that this was an off-the-turf race? I mean, it was still a pretty full field, but I don't know. As far as what the numbers come back to be sometimes in these off-the-turf races, I always sort of wonder if they're going to run back to them next time out.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, and maybe this is a negative as well, they paid a lot for this filly at the 2-year-old sale, which is a workout on the dirt, $450,000 for this daughter of Justify. So yeah, you could view it as a negative that, you know, usually if you're paying that much, you want a dirt horse type of thing.
And they did try her on the dirt first time out when she ran second as the favorite at Ellis, but then they kind of immediately switched her over to the grass. And again, she ran second in there. Then they stretched her out in distance and took her 4 tries to break the maiden, ultimately in that off the turf race, first time dirt routing. So I'm not going to say that there's no talent or ability here and that she certainly can't win, because of course she can. But as far as who she's facing in here, for her to be that short of a price off of that one race, it's a little suspect.
Yeah, absolutely. And furthermore, you know, Chris Hartman, while he does well with these horses in the limited, you know, ones that we've seen him on the racetrack with, his game mostly has been with claiming.
Exactly.
He's most successful with his claiming horses. So we'll see a horse there, a gray horse. Was that Jubella being loaded in with a blanket? So that's for kind of those claustrophobic horses that don't like the sides of the gate touching their sides. They'll unhook it in across her chest, and it will just stay in the gate after she breaks. As they load in to line, and whoa, favoritism staying with number 4, Red River Magic at 8-5, 5-2 on number 10. Let's Duet, Kenny McPeak, Joanne Leparoux teaming up. We'll see if they can get another win together, as they have been the hot combination as of late. Balking a little bit at the gate there. Let's Duet. What was your pick in here?
I actually like Windy Bay a little bit. This is a horse that started out her career facing some pretty good ones in terms of the 3-year-old fillies. Actually finished second behind Wet Paint in her 3rd start over a sloppy sealed surface at Horseshoe Indianapolis. I know the recent form hasn't been quite as good, but I think that she's kind of a consistent type and being a little bit overlooked.
She does have a little bit of pace to her, tactical speed, as well as we get it out to Matt Dinneman for the call of the last from Oaklawn.
The gate has got in. Alsana goes forward, Windy Bay. 2 back, Midnight Candy Storm and Brittle, and you to the outside. Live racing resumes tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. First post 12:30. We'll see you then. For now, enjoy this nightcap. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Slow break, CC Harbor drops to the rear, well out of it early. Red River Magic, the favorites on top in the early stages. Sicilian Grandma takes a hold, usually on the lead. Today she's playing a tracking role into the turn. The gray Jubella is 3rd as they charge into that turn. Windy Bay down on the inside of her. She's running 2.5 lengths off the loose leader. Red River Magic, who leads the charge clearly around the turn. Make Me Believe, Gottlieb's Ranger, and HTX Xena. Those 3 across the track. They're 4 behind. They're 3 clear of Brittle and You, who's racing alone, a length in front of Midnight Candy Storm. Then Alsana, Let's Duet second to last. CC Harbor well out of it, at least 20 lengths off Red River Magic, who leads the charge down the backstretch. Red River Magic, the pacemaker, by a touch more than a length. Sicilian Grandma right behind in second. Jubella with a good trip 3rd. Windy Bay, the same can be said for her. She's down on the rail approaching the 4-turn run. Then that line of 3, Make Me Believe, Gottlieb's Ranger, HTX Xena. Those 3 still right together. 5 behind that loose front runner, Red River Magic, who still goes well on the front end. A gap of 2 to Brittle and You. Nickel along just a little bit. Midnight Candy Storm needs to do more, as does Let's Duet. Alsana passing a couple runners, but still has 8 lengths to make up. Not going to get it done. CC Harbor at the rear as they come off the turn. Sicilian Grandma challenging Red River Magic on the front end. These 2 square off, and Sicilian Grandma has shot to the front, and Red River Magic had no response when that rival came up alongside of her. And 3rd, Windy Bay into 2nd, Jubella next. 16th to go. Here's Windy Bay. Rafael Bejarano storming home down the center to win the nightcap. Windy Bay by a length and a half. Sicilian Grandma was second home. Let's Duet from well behind snatches the show spot, and Jubella checks in 4th in the finale.
Inside out trip for Windy Bay, and she upset it upsets at 17-1. Well done, Sarah, for picking her. Tom Vanberg gets the win with Rafael Bejarano aboard.
Thanks. I feel like this is a day of just absolute
Chaos.
insanity over at Oaklawn. So nice to at least find a price within all of that. And a horse that, I mean, if you go back in the page, she's faced some good ones and able to get the job done at a big price in here.
Yes, she gets win number 2 in her 15th career start. Daughter of Tale of Verve out of the Candy Ride mare. Co. Well, that will do it for us. Well done, you. Especially, going out with a bang there, getting the win with Windy Bay. For Sarah Elbadwi, Richard Migliori, and Paula Duca, I'm Maggie Wolfendale. As we saw Guntown, first of many upsets on the show for Fernando Abreu, and then the favored Lady Mine capping off the action here at the Big A. But over at Oaklawn, the chaos would reign supreme. As uninvited guest, he was one of several, pulling off major upsets in Hot Springs. Thanks for joining us here on America's Day at the Races. You can catch us tomorrow here on FS2.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
Warsaichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
Warsaichi has scampered well clear. Warsaichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the